were in like pharmacology, was it?
Yep.
Yeah, and you.
Biochemist.
Yeah, and you kind of discovered his research, right? Or like read something, and that's how you reached out to each other. Or did you know each other prior to that, or was it like a cold call?
No, so I knew Adrian for quite a while, or at least I knew Adrian's work. He's published in some very prestigious journals, and I followed his work. And when he published a specific paper, I called him, and I suspect Adrian knew a little bit about what we were doing before I called him.
Yeah, we were aware of our published work, and so then we decided that it would be fruitful to combine our two different approaches. They're very complementary.
And it really shows the benefit of academia and industry working together to solve a problem, where you really take advantage of the expertise of both academic science as well as pharmaceutical science.
Because for people who don't know, it's like you created an actual drug, right? That is being used right now for people with muscular atrophy, and it's working, right? Maybe you can talk about the results and like that you've seen and like how it's actually applicable for people out there. It's being used right now.
Right.
Yeah. So the drug is. Let me back up. So the drug is used to treat patients with spinal muscular atrophy, which I said that these patients eventually become paralyzed. And so what we're seeing is that patients are doing better. They're doing things they've never been able to do. In fact, if you treat early enough, the children develop normally. And so children who aren't able to walk are able to walk and have a relatively normal lifestyle.
So that you must feel pretty good that you were able to contribute to the world in such a significant, impactful way.
It's the best feeling you can possibly have, I think, because we meet patients that have perhaps wouldn't be alive without the treatment or are doing much better than otherwise, and we know there are thousands of others, and so that's a fantastic feeling.
This is the best thing you could ever do in your life is to help patients.
And so what does it mean to you to have been awarded the Breakthrough Prize for this?
Yeah, now you got to have your Oscar
Yeah,
of
you're
science.
at the Oscars.
So not only like it's obviously so amazing what you did, but what's tonight mean to you? Are you excited?
So we think it's great that it sort of shines a light on science, both basic and applied, and the combination of it. And so I view it as a recognition of Frank's and my efforts, but also our respective teams for all the work they put for quite a few years to bring this to reality.
And so this was your research focuses on RNA, right? Like mRNA.
Yes.
And so that reminds me of like university times, like studying. What was sort of your favorite course in university when you were students?
In university, well, genetics for sure. Yeah.
What about you?
Pharmacology.
Wow, there you
Amazing.
go.
Okay.
I'm like, are they just saying that? No. You followed your dream.
Well, we appreciate you guys taking time to chat, and I'm sure everyone
for
is
all of your
enjoying. Yeah,
work.
thank you
It's
so
so
much for
amazing.
doing what you do. We hope you have an amazing night tonight.
Yeah, and enjoy it, right?
Congratulations.
This is for you. Like, have fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Have a great
night. Bye.
All right, yes, okay. First laureates
Oh my God, the first
down.
laureates. I feel like it's really cool because we've read like I've read all
sweating.
their specific like literal mRNA research, and like they are so freaking smart.
And it brings you back. For any of you who are in university and you're like, oh God, it's kind of like a mix of stressed feelings, but also it's amazing to find out, to think about like researching something that is literally so microscopic in the body.
But the fact that theirs also like is so applicable and that they're saving people's lives, like you could see how moved they were because they actually get to in their lives see what they've researched save people's lives. Because it was like the life sentence for people with that specific disease was 2 years, and now people are not only developing fully normally, but they're living long enough to thank them, which they wouldn't have been able to if it weren't for them.
It's unbelievable. And I mean, that's just a taste of like the amount of stuff that people that we're gonna talk to tonight that have done amazing things. It's inspiring. It's really, really
They're
cool.
literally saving lives. I feel like so often people throw that word around, like
Yeah.
saving lives, or like, I don't know, but they actually are with their
Literally.
applied science.
For anyone who's just tuning into the live stream, we're at the Breakthrough Prize ceremony, and we're interviewing some amazing laureates that are being awarded prizes tonight for their research and the work that they've done in different science fields, including physics, math, and life sciences.
Essentially, it's an award show that's designed to be like the Oscars, to prop up science, to prop up scientists, and make it so that there's a place and a time where they get to actually feel honored
it is
in
the
the
Oscars of
general
science.
public.
So, scientists should be rock stars. There was a time in history when they really were the rock stars.
When
of
was
the world.
that, though?
I don't
like
know.
the 1800s or like 1900s? Like, when were they?
I don't know my
rock stars?
history so well, but it'd be nice to like bring that up, and I think that's what this event really wants to do, is doing, propping up scientists to show that they have done amazing work and that we should all celebrate the things that they do.
Yeah, and I don't know. You could tell and see how obviously moved that they were. Again, that the science that they're doing, that in their life they get to know was successful. Because I feel like sometimes you hear about scientists who always after they've like passed away, that their research really gets taken into like a new direction.
Right. All right, I think we have another laureate coming now. That is very incredible. Hello, welcome to the live stream.
I'm
Do
Greg.
you mind saying your name and what you do?
John, and I'm a professor at Harvard University.
Whoa, humble brag. No big
So,
deal.
like everyone's very smart, we're so inspired to be meeting you.
Howard Hughes Medical Institute investigator. So I do biophysics research, and we invent new imaging methods that allow us to see very small things in our body that wouldn't otherwise be visible.
So
we
why?
are like really obsessed with your research. We were looking into it. I'm curious about something because I took a course on PIMAL, which is like a way of observing things that are really small. But yours involves like fluorescent dye, and what exactly are maybe some examples of things that you're actually looking at and discovering, and also sort of what are the applications of this type of stuff that you're researching?
Yeah, so we look at a variety of things, and in particular structures inside the cell made of molecules. And things that we discovered, for example, we discovered a beautifully periodic skeletal structure in nerve cells in our brain.
Yes.
Yeah,
The footage of it's amazing.
Really, I like to say that such a ordered, beautiful structure that exists in a biological system, I didn't expect that. And since it's still close to Halloween, I like to say that it literally it almost looked like a real skeletal that you see in, Halloween stores and so on. And there are important functions, and then potential disease implications. And also, we are very interested in a variety of structures. For example, how our genetic material, like DNA, is packaged in our cell in specific shape that actually control which genes are expressed, and that actually give the cells property. And the method that I won the prize for is called super resolution storm imaging.
Yeah, storm imaging. I like that catchy title.
Yeah.
Storm.
Right, but what I want to say is we continue doing innovation. We recently invented methods that allow us to look at molecules inside the cell at the whole genome scale, so that we're seeing, thousands of genes simultaneously to give us a systems level of understanding of, the cells. And then sort of one of the applications that I like to tell people is with that, we can identify in human body how many different types of cells are there, where are they, their spatial location, how are they organized and interact with each other, almost just like a Google Earth map of a human body.
Which is what you're thinking, like maybe we could Google Earth map the body with this technology in the future.
This new technology that I didn't give you the name. It has an interesting name too.
Misref or something.
This is called Murfish.
Murfish.
Yeah.
Sorry, Misref. I am so sorry.
That's no problem.
That's amazing. Well, I also had heard that you have, I was wanting to know what inspired you to start this research, but I've also heard that you've been, since a very young age interested in science and following this path. What drives you to do all this?
Well, it's true. I was very interested in math and physics since I was very young. I don't know, it might be family influence because both of my parents are professors. So
you got good genes, good genes.
I don't know about good genes. I guess
Maybe the influence?
I just didn't know what else.
Good genes and environment. Wow, they are linked.
Right.
But you just said you were interested in physics and math, but now you're doing something that's much more biological, biochemistry.
That's right. So when I was, younger in junior high, college, all the way until PhD, I was, specialized in physics.
Wow.
Well, not junior high. I don't specialize in.
Generically, but you were like
Right,
physics.
right.
You knew you were interested.
Physics is so beautiful.
Yeah.
So elegant. And I think that drews me to physics. But as I grow older, starting from postdoc and now, after starting my own lab, I just got more and more attracted by the unsolved mysteries in life sciences. There are
That's
many more unsolved mysteries in life sciences.
And that's also amazing because I feel like so many people like us avoid physics a bit and we stick to biology and we stick to chemistry, but you have that base understanding, which you're right, is like the physics, the truth. And then you can go and apply it to these other places. That's so important. That's probably why you're so successful and why you're here winning this prize.
Yes, congratulations. We're so
Yeah.
honored to get to meet you. I hope you enjoy the night and
Yeah,
you
have a
deserve
great
all the
night.
credit.
You deserve it.
I will.
Thank you so much. It was nice to meet
Maybe
you.
one day we'll come visit you at Harvard.
All right.
right.
Let me know. You're always welcome.
Thank you.
Oh,
Oh,
thank you.
wow. Thank you so much.
Bye.
All right. Okay, that was very inspiring. Okay, our next guest is another amazing Angelica. Nice to meet you. Welcome
Are we
to the
saying
live
right?
stream.
Angelica.
Angelica?
Whatever.
Whatever, however.
I listen to almost anything.
But you're Austrian, right?
I am indeed, yes.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, we were about to interrupt you.
That's
but-
okay.
But you work in the States.
I love the United States. I'm telling you, I came in 1994. I was going to be here for 2 years, and then I was going to go back. And now,
Here we are.
here we are, decades later.
At a bougie event for
Well,
you winning an award.
congratulations. How does it feel? How does it feel to be at the Breakthrough Prize Award?
It's incredible. Obviously, I'm so thrilled that our lab's work was recognized in this manner, and I think it's such a great opportunity to highlight the importance of science and highlight what scientists do and how they make things better. And I really hope that all your viewers are being encouraged by what they're seeing here to sort of also become scientists. And
Well, we know that you work in like cell biology. Do you mind telling people a little bit what your research was
Yes,
about
of
and
course.
what your
Yeah,
findings
I'm-
were?
So we study how cells divide, specifically how chromosomes, which are the carriers of all the information that we need to build an organisms, are divvied up during cell division. And we study the process how that happens, and we also study what happens when this process goes wrong, which sometimes happens. It leads to cells not having the right chromosome number.
What's that called, Mitch?
Aneuploidy, is that right? Is that right? Am I being tested? Is this a test?
Somebody's doing their homework. Most excellent. Yes.
Thank
And
you,
so
thank
what we're trying
you.
to do is we're trying to understand what happens to cells that have the wrong chromosome number, and we figured it out over the years. And so, and now we're on to diseases such as cancer, and I'm very excited about the future.
So we were reading that you sort of look at questions, like you said the grandma question or something, like
The grandma
So
test.
thinking about questions that you would, like, explain that to the viewers. I don't want to say it for you because I don't even fully understand it.
So to all you young scientists out there who are going to be fabulous scientists, I think it's quite important that when you pick a research topic, when you pick a question that you're interested in, is that question should pass the grammar test, which means you go over to grandma for a cup of coffee or you take her out for lunch and you explain to her what you can do, what you want to do. And if she says, that's pretty cool, I always wanted to know why that happens,
You passed the test?
you pass the test, and then you know it's a good question.
So you mean like sort of questions that are like simple enough for people
enough
to
because-
grasp?
Broken down.
No, not simple enough that it can be broken down, but it excites other people. It
Gotcha.
excites
Okay.
lots of people because then you know it's a really profound and important question, and those are worth pursuing, right?
And cell replication and like what's happening in chromosomes, that's something that like I guess people study all the time, like whether in grade 11, grade 10, you start to learn those things.
All the time, and there's so many things we still don't know, guys. So we need you.
and your research was sort of looking into something like you kind of knew the result, but you didn't know why it happened, right? And you
Exactly.
figured out why it happened. It was a stress response, right?
Yes, and that's what scientists do. They're trying to figure out what happens when you have the wrong chromosome number. The cells get stressed. They stop working very well. They stop working well. And, a lot of things
And that's
go
diseases,
south.
right?
Exactly, like birth defects, miscarriages, cancer. Unfortunately, there are some dire consequences to that.
We're all gonna die eventually.
We want to say a huge congratulations on your breakthrough.
Oh, that was a really
prize.
morbid end on my part.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
You're inspiring and
but now with this research, there's
can
going to be
change the
practical things
world,
that will
literally.
make it better. We're not going to fully cheat death here, but we're trying. I'm just kidding.
thank you so much. We hope you have an amazing evening.
Enjoy your night.
and
This is so cool.
Congratulations.
Bye, Angelica.
So cool. But yeah, a little
I did go
dark
morbid,
note.
sorry.
Oh, all right. Hello.
Ellen,
Welcome to the
wow, you
live
look
stream.
amazing.
Do you mind letting everyone know who you are and what you do?
Okay, my name is Helen Hobbs, and I am a physician scientist at University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, and I work on genetic disorders of lipids, lipids being cholesterol and triglyceride. Another word for triglyceride being fat. Exactly, and so we've worked on two major diseases, atherosclerosis, which is caused by accumulation of cholesterol in the walls of arteries, and fatty liver disease, which is caused by the accumulation of fat in the liver. So in both of these disorders, lipids are accumulating in a place where they're not supposed to accumulate, and it causes disease in both cases. The diseases don't happen rapidly. They usually take decades to develop, both atherosclerosis and fatty liver disease, which can lead to cirrhosis. And that's what we work on. We try to use genes, try to find the genes and the sequence variations that contribute to susceptibility and resistance to both of those diseases.
Wow, and so you're a past laureate, right?
I am.
Yes. Okay,
So how has your experience been now that you're kind of like
what are you
get
saying
be
to all
here?
these
Are you
people?
less
Are you like
nervous this
chilling
time?
out?
I can assure you I'm much less nervous
Yeah,
than
no,
last
you
time. I
seem
didn't know.
relaxed.
I didn't know what was going on here.
Such a whirlwind, right? The first
It's
time.
very odd to be having my picture taken in a dress. This is not.
Well, you look amazing.
Yeah, you
so
look
sweet.
wonderful.
You're so sweet. But anyways, this is not the usual.
Well, you're inspiring everyone. It's amazing that you're here. We appreciate you coming.
And we are YouTubers who make science videos trying to make people fall in love with science because we love science. So what would you say would be like something you would like to say to young people about what made you fall in love with science, like why they should make their lives into it? Like what is the best part about it for you?
Well, what I love about being a scientist is telling a story. I'm not a good writer, but I love to tell stories, and I love to tell scientific stories. It's like a mystery. You have something, you're trying to figure it out, and it's like a mystery and a jigsaw puzzle together, because you're putting lots of pieces together, and all of a sudden, if you're lucky, sometimes you make a discovery, and it is so awesome. It's so awesome.
So what was the breakthrough that you had for your prize? Like what was the discovery? Because you explained sort of the diseases, but yeah, in layman's terms, can you explain it?
I can. So what we discovered was that in the general population, there's sequence variations in a gene called PCSK9. That's the name of the gene. And what happens is it lowers the plasma levels of cholesterol quite dramatically.
Okay.
So then what we did is we looked to see what happens to people who have this mutation. So they've had a low cholesterol their whole life.
Wow.
That's the difference between measuring cholesterol at any point in time, lower cholesterol their whole life, dramatic protection from heart disease.
Wow.
And then it turned out that this protein, which we worked on, tried to figure out how it worked, is in the blood. And so you can take an antibody and inactivate the protein, and it lowers cholesterol. And now there's drugs. There are 2 drugs.
That's amazing.
Oh my gosh,
We appreciate
amazing.
You
It's
so
always the
much
protein.
stopping
It's
by.
always the
Thank you so
protein.
much for coming to the live stream and saying
Have a
hi.
good,
It's
more
lovely
chill
to meet
time.
you.
Okay.
All right, next up.
Hi,
hello.
Lucy
Thank you so much for waiting so patiently for us.
My pleasure. I was watching you backstage.
Oh, where are you? Oh, wow. Oh, wow. You're prepped. You're like, who's going to be interviewing me?
Hello.
Let everyone know who you are.
Okay,
and why
my name
you're
is
here.
Lucy Hawking. My father was the late and much missed Professor Stephen Hawking, who's a great friend of Yuri Milner, one of the Breakthrough Prize founders. And I'm here this evening as part of a tribute to my dad, and I'm also going to be awarding one of the prizes.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, hopefully you know we're science communicators. Your
We are
father is a
obviously
massive inspiration
in
to
awe.
us. You yourself write books that focus on science.
I
right?
do. I write stories for kids, adventure stories for kids, which are like a fantasy, except all the science is real.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
That's amazing and important.
It's super important because it's saying, this is as exciting, this is reality, but it's done as an adventure story to replicate this idea that science is a journey of thrill and discovery. And so that's what the kids do. They go on these extraordinary adventures in which they learn real stuff.
So
That's amazing.
Do you consider yourself a science communicator, and what made you start to really feel that was important?
Well, I grew up with science, and so in a sense I took it for granted. And it took me, I suppose, a while to understand that this was not everybody's experience of life,
oh my
right?
God, your dad is Stephen Hawking. Yeah.
Like you could find out anything you wanted to find out.
I know. Pre-internet, we just exactly. So I could ask big questions kind of anytime I wanted at home. And then when I grew up, I became a writer. I was very much in the arts world. Always wanted to be in the creative world. That's where all my experience and my work has been. And then it became very clear to me that there was a problem with engagement with kids in STEM subjects.
And there still is.
And
That's
there
why
still
we're
is.
trying to help.
Exactly, exactly. And this is over 10 years ago. And a little boy came up to my dad at one of my son's birthday parties and said, Stephen, what would happen to me if I fell in a black hole? And it was such a brilliant question, right? It's
Absolutely.
and my dad said, you'd be turned into spaghetti. And all the kids went, oh, how cool,
Yeah.
spaghetti. Woo, I love spaghetti. And I just thought, that's the story. How would a boy fall in a black hole? What would a boy be doing that would land him in a black hole? How would we get him back? And so I said to Dad, look, we should do this because the kids were really excited and
It
they
gets
really
them
want
actually
yeah,
engaged,
but
right?
because that's how children process the world. It's about seeing it through the eyes of themselves and another kid and experience, but it's about this thing that you understand brilliantly, the relationship. It's like making a relationship between what seems like an abstract concept and a child allows them to understand it. So you go on this very literal journey, which is figurative as well. So
Well, you're
That's
doing
amazing. Art
work.
and
It's
science
inspiring.
overlapping. That's our
Thank
number
you
one
so
thing.
much for coming by the live stream.
Yeah.
Honestly, you're inspiring millions of people out there, and that's
Bye,
great.
Lucy
Thank you
Hawking.
so much. Hello.
Hi, Jocelyn
Bell
Burnell.
Welcome to the live stream. My name is Mitch, and this is Greg.
Hi, hello.
Why don't
Hi.
you let everyone know who you are and what you do?
And what you're getting the prize for this year.
Right. I'm Jocelyn Bell Burnell, a British astrophysicist, and I'm getting a prize. It's got 2 strands to it for the discovery of pulsars 50 years ago, and for
Did you hear that? 50 years ago.
subsequent scientific leadership.
And you also, aren't you Dame?
I am Dame.
Does that mean you are knighted, or what does that mean?
Yeah,
It means something.
It's the female equivalent of Sir.
Yes, okay.
Men are knighted. I'm not quite sure. Women are damed or
Oh.
damned or doomed.
But I'm sorry, Dame Jocelyn Bell Burnell. So
But
maybe.
that means something different in the U.S.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But we're Canadian, so we're like Commonwealth. Okay, so pulsars. When we were reading about you, you discovered them. Was it literally from looking at images that were coming from telescopes? Like maybe you can go through, take us back to when you first sort of looked at them, and maybe even explain the story too about how your name was not awarded the Nobel Prize, and that's part of the reason why you're getting this. There's a lot of maybe sexism linked to that. These are young viewers and people who, a lot of young female scientists as well.
Yeah.
We can look around, there's lots of dudes here. Just speak on that.
Yes. Okay. That's about 6 talks, I think.
Yeah,
yes.
6 talks.
Here we
Here
go.
Let's do this.
Okay. So I was a research student in radio astronomy. So during my school years, I decided I wanted to be an astronomer. I was good at physics, good at math, and I subsequently refined that to be a radio astronomer, looking at the radio signals coming from space.
Wow.
And I did a physics bachelor's degree and then turned to do a doctorate, which is a research degree, like a project that lasts several years. And I was doing that in radio astronomy. And the first 2 years was spent building the equipment.
And it was this huge telescope thing, right?
That's right. It covered a space like 57 tennis courts.
Whoa. And Nowadays, how small do you think something like that information would be? Do you think?
No, that you wouldn't reduce.
Oh, okay. You'd need that size.
You need that size to pick up weak radio signals.
Oh, okay, yeah. I knew that. I was just testing you.
Just checking.
Testing you, Dame Jocelyn Bell-Burnell.
And good to have the explanation.
Yeah.
Of course, yes.
So what does it mean to you to be given this award now, after all this time?
I do feel rather the grandmother of this. And to put that in context, do you know what a sewing thimble is?
Yes,
You know that goes in your finger?
Yeah.
So you take a sewing thimble, take the population of the globe,
Yes.
7 billion people plus, stuff them into the thimble one by one, and when you've got all 7 billion stuffed into that thimble, it weighs the same as if it was filled with stuff from one of these stars.
Like the density, like the weight of it?
Yep.
Oh my God. So they're only 10 kilometers, in radius?
Radius.
And so they're small, like when you look at them.
They're very small.
But
Yes.
they're just so dense.
Yes, you could put one down on a city, and the surroundings would survive.
My God.
Incredible. Well, you are inspiring. It's so great to meet you. We've been so excited all day to meet you because your mission and what you're doing with this money is also just touches us, and we're grateful to have chatted with you. So we hope you enjoy your night. Congratulations.
Yes, this night is yours. The Oscars of Science. Have fun.
There's a red carpet here.
Oh,
yes.
no, I don't know if you can see it.
Hope you enjoy the rest of it. Thank you
It's
so
so
much.
happy to meet you.
Have a good evening.
Bye, Dame Jocelyn.
All right. Okay, amazing. Next up, we have James Chen. Welcome to the live stream. It's nice to meet you. Why don't you let everybody know who you are and what you did
One of the laureates
for the
from this
award
year,
tonight?
Thank you. I'm James Chen. I'm from University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center that is located in Dallas, Texas. I'm also an investigator of Howard Hughes Medical Institute.
All right.
So you are here because you are one of the laureates in life sciences, correct?
Yes.
So maybe you can, in the best way possible, give a little example of like what your research was and what it is that you're being awarded for tonight.
So we work on immunology, and we try to understand our body's sort of first line of defense against infections. That is called innate immunity or natural immunity, and that is, if our body or our cells get infected by a virus or bacteria, how do we know that we have been attacked by the pathogen?
How does the cell even know that
Right.
there's
How do we know?
Processes, yeah.
And one of the mechanisms by which we detect this microbial infection is to detect the DNA. And you all know that DNA is the genetic material, but it's very important. But DNA has a dark side also that is less well understood, and that is it can trigger immune responses, and sometimes it can cause autoimmune diseases.
And autoimmune, you mean like it triggers your body to actually fight
itself?
Itself.
That's right. It will sometimes if your immune system is misdirected to your own tissues, then there's a trouble.
And you looked into how, like, what the signals are that your bodies do that.
Right. That's right. So then a major trigger of immune responses, and sometimes autoimmune responses, is our own DNA. And
silly DNA.
That's right. Yeah. But DNA, is very important. It's our genetic material, so we have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And sometimes we also use this as a mechanism to detect tumor DNA. So how we know that if our normal cells becomes a cancer cell, and one mechanism is to detect this tumor DNA. So then, important question is, how do we do that? What's the sensor that recognizes this DNA, and we identify this sensor, which turns out to be a very interesting enzyme. Okay, so
Protein.
Specific
Always a
enzyme.
protein,
Wow.
Right.
Protein, right? There's protein that can catalyze reaction, and that's enzyme. It's a very interesting enzyme that can make a small molecule cyclic dinucleotide. Basically, it takes ATP and GTP, put them together, and make this cyclic GMP AMP. So it's cyclic.
Oh, I remember those.
Cyclic GMP
We remember that.
AMP. it's a new molecule that we discover, but this molecule actually has existed, for
always
in
been
nature.
there.
It have,
Yeah,
you
but
know,
you've
for more
just
than
discovered it.
Like for more than 500 million years.
And I
in
recall
those
you
animals.
maybe
And-
saying that it was like finding a needle in a haystack, right?
Yes. So we found the DNA sensor, which turns out to be the enzyme, and then we identified the product that is made by this enzyme, which is this cyclodinucleotide, and that small molecule cyclodinucleotide then functions as a signaling molecule that triggers the immune reaction. So that's the essence of our discovery.
Wow, okay, and that has a lot of applications because now you hopefully can design drugs or create like different like ways of understanding how the disease starts and things like that. Like there's an application for this to help fight autoimmune disorders.
Yeah, that's exactly right, because in some human diseases, they're caused by accumulation of this DNA in our cytoplasm, and
Where DNA should not be.
where DNA should not be, and that would trigger this enzyme, and then that would trigger this autoimmune reaction. So if we can come up with a drug that inhibits this enzyme, then potentially this drug can be used for treating these autoimmune diseases.
Okay, thank you
Yeah,
so
thank
much.
you. Congratulations.
Yes, have a
Thank you
great
for
night.
stopping by the
Enjoy.
live stream. Oh, we've got some
Yes.
friend laureates. How cute. Oh gosh, I just have to say that. It is very hot in here and I'm just like dripping sweat. Are
We
you?
got to meet the queen of CRISPR.
Oh yes.
So you
Okay,
get
have you heard of CRISPR?
ready
You're going to
'cause
find
the
out
future.
about it. Oh,
Oh,
hello.
like, please talk to us. Please talk
Yes,
to us.
welcome to the live stream. Do you mind
We
letting
just called
everybody
you the
know?
queen of CRISPR.
The queen of CRISPR. Thank you. How's it going?
Yeah, say your
It's going
name for
great.
those. That don't
Hi,
know.
Jennifer Doudna, UC Berkeley.
I've just been given a tissue because obviously I'm sweating too much.
We are in the presence of legit science royalty.
So you were a previous laureate, that's correct, right?
That's correct.
And can you tell everyone what it was that you were being awarded for?
Yes, indeed. So this award in 2014 was given to myself and Emmanuel Charpentier, my colleague, for CRISPR gene editing, a way to change the DNA in living cells precisely and accurately.
Like scissors, right? That's what people say.
Like scissors, yes.
Am I correct in thinking that it was found in bacteria first, like the CRISPR gene
Yes.
itself? So it wasn't like it was developed, you found it within another organism and then used that within even human cells or any other cells?
Amazingly, bacteria had already come up with a tool for fighting viruses, and that's what we were studying. And the work that we did together led to a recognition that this tool really could be harnessed in a way that was not, not the way it's used in bacteria, but it now allows scientists to alter the DNA in any kind of cell simply and easily.
So when you were like first starting to research that, were you thinking like, oh, we're going to look into something like CRISPR, or did it like happen like, was it a
Stumble
breakthrough
upon.
or whatever? Like how did you, like where did CRISPR come from? Was it like the idea of thinking you were creating CRISPR, or was it like a result of your studies in a different way?
Well, in my case, it actually came from an idea that was hatched with another colleague at UC Berkeley, where I work, Jill Banfield, who researches bacteria, and she noticed that bacteria store pieces of viral DNA in their chromosome, in their own chromosome, and she wondered
like
whether that was part of
Why-
an
why is
adapt.
that
Why
there?
is that? Why is it there? It seemed like an unusual thing.
like when a virus attacks a bacteria, it stores some of the DNA. Is that what you mean?
Bacteria.
Oh, and
The
yeah.
bacteria does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so she
from
wondered,
there-
was this a bacterial immune system? And so that was the conversation with her that led us to start investigating this possibility.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so now CRISPR-Cas9, it's kind of like famous, right? Like it's like people talk about it all the time. I think I read a New Yorker article about it, and I'm like wondering if maybe you were you quoted in that article?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I recognized your name. It's like there's so many interesting like practicalities around it. Like how has your life changed? And I don't know, how often are people just reaching out to talk to you about it and the application of it and everything?
I think the thing about gene editing that's so exciting, and the reason that people get interested in it and start, it's being talked about a lot, is that I think a lot of people recognize this is going to change our future. It changes the way we think about genetic disease. It changes the way we think about understanding cancer. It changes the way we interact with our environment and the organisms that we work with, such as plants and other kinds of animals. So it really is an incredibly powerful tool that crosses all areas of biology.
So I'm curious then, what does the Breakthrough Prize mean to you? I mean, it's been a few years. Maybe you don't have to be as nervous
Yeah,
this
like
year.
what is
walking
this?
the red
This is our
carpet.
first time we're like, what is this? This is amazing. This is like our dream.
How has
Oscars
it
of
impacted you,
science.
and how do you feel about the Breakthrough Prize?
I think it's a wonderful thing. You know, the Breakthrough Foundation, Yuri Milner, and all the others that have been involved in setting this up, I think they really value fundamental science, and they wanted to have a way to recognize scientists that are doing foundational work that leads to a breakthrough. And so the special thing about this prize, if you look at the way the awards are given, they're really given for people that are doing research on basic questions in biology. And this is really an opportunity to celebrate those discoveries, and also really importantly to communicate to the next generations of people coming along. You know, hopefully they're going to go off and be great scientists in the future. Some of you, maybe all of you, and to really celebrate this and show that we as a society and a country, we value the kind of work that scientists are doing. Most of the time, scientists are mostly uncelebrated, right? We don't think of scientists as being celebrities,
Which is
but
not good.
Yeah, that is why. Yeah, we love this.
You are a
event.
celebrity to us.
Thank you so much for stopping our live stream. You're inspiring millions of people out there from
get
all
on the lab
generations.
every now and then, put on our fancy
Exactly.
You look amazing.
Yeah, you look
And,
wonderful,
you know,
and
just come
hope
out
you
and
enjoy the rest of the evening.
Great. Well, thanks for what you guys are doing.
Oh,
I
thank
think
you
it's
so much. No, you
super
inspire us,
important
and
to,
you,
celebrate science and communicate that excitement to students.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Oh my God, it means so much coming from you.
Yeah.
I'm freaking out. Yeah,
Enjoy
have
the
a
rest
good
of your night. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All righty.
Okay, so she literally invented CRISPR and freaking
Yeah,
out.
that CRISPR is an amazing technology.
And, like,
we
we've
do have
talked a
another
lot
lawyer
about it.
coming.
Oh, sorry.
Greg's just going to go on a ramble. Hello, how's it going? Nice to meet you. How are you? Welcome to the live stream.
Nice to
We were
meet
live
you.
streaming
That
on the
was my
internet right now.
official handshake.
Do you mind telling people who you are and what you are here for?
Well, my name is Charles Cain, and I was awarded the Breakthrough Prize for discovering a new class of materials called topological insulators.
Okay, so as far as we know, in the past, people sort of thought there was like conductors and insulators, right? So then what is the difference in what you have found?
Well, a topological insulator is sort of like a Hershey's Kiss.
Oh!
The
No one
chocolate
doesn't like
on the
that.
inside is the insulator. It does
Okay.
not conduct electricity, but the wrapper is a conductor. Okay.
Oh.
Now the only thing is it'll be a little bit of a frustrating chocolate treat, because if you tried to unwrap it, it would still be wrapped. You can't unwrap it. The surface of this topological insulator always has the conducting wrapper.
Wow.
And that's the thing that's special about a topological insulator.
Oh, we have the other half.
in.
Come on
Right,
into
you
the
can both
live
talk at the
stream.
same
Yes,
time. We're
absolutely.
talking about
Welcome.
both of your research.
So, yeah. He's got
Yeah,
the
the
Hershey's Kiss
metaphor.
spiel is out there.
Well, that analogy only goes so far. I will
Oh, very so good thing you're here to help us figure out the rest.
So say your name so that they can know.
Jean Malie.
And together, you guys are both being awarded this prize for topological insulators. I was going to say conductors. Damn it, the wrong one.
So, what are the sort of practical implications of this research and what you found in terms of technology or in terms of future research? What does it mean now that you've got to this point?
Well, so one can imagine sort of using these and plugging in current architectures for small-scale integrated circuits. The biggest promise is that it's a whole new class of materials that will enable architectures that we haven't thought of yet.
That's incredible. Like, does that make you not feel amazing that you've literally discovered something that we're like, who knows, unlimited, or not unlimited, but unknown. The future is unknown in a way, right?
It's a rare treat to think of something that hasn't been thought of before. That's really a treat.
And so what does the Breakthrough Prize mean to you guys now that you're here? You've been awarded for it. Are you nervous? Are you excited?
I am pumped, I will say. I am
Pumped!
It's pumped.
I have to settle myself down a little bit for this evening.
That's right. This is not our usual Sunday afternoon.
And so do you guys work closely together? Are your offices near each other? Like, you're both getting the Breakthrough Prize in fundamental physics, by the way. We need to say that because as science communicators that are more biology, chemistry, physics always scared us, so we are like in awe of you. But do you guys work closely? How did you work together on this?
Well, so it started off when Gene hired me at the University of Pennsylvania. That was
hire.
27 years ago, and our offices have been right next to each other the whole time.
And we don't always work together, but we have often worked together over the past 27 years. And it's been a wonderful collaboration, wonderful way to spend my career.
Yeah, we share interest, and what we do is not exactly the same, so it sort of complements each other.
So when I was also reading about it, it was something about like right now they need to be cooled or something, like the actual temperature of, what was that about? I'm just curious because it sounded interesting.
So oftentimes when you take materials to very low temperatures, then you can probe their fundamental low energy properties, and those are the things that we really understand well and that we can predict and study. And so the low temperature properties are where the sort of magical properties of material really come to light.
In like layman's terms, does making it colder almost slow it down and make it simpler to study?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah?
That's the way I would say it, yeah.
Okay, cool. I just thought that was like really interesting to think about it. Okay.
We've gone from being really low to being only pretty low. So
Okay.
So the temperature.
yeah, so in other words, things are moving in the right direction.
Because it needs to be more of like at a temperature that would be like, for it to be more useful, that's more warmer.
That's right.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for stopping by the live stream. Congratulations on the award. It's inspiring.
And have fun.
Yeah, enjoy your
I'm glad
evening.
you're pumped.
Yeah, keep pumped. Enjoy your Sunday evening. We'll see you later.
Thank you so much. Bye.
All right. Well, how do you feel it's going,
I like that
Greg?
he was pumped.
Yeah, I think everyone's pumped. I feel like they're all probably nervous. Like if we're nervous, they're nervous.
Because I was like, I'm like really nervous to meet them because they're all so smart and reading all the research is like so interesting and they're also humble.
Yeah, and I mean, they've dedicated their lives in so many cases, whether it's years or decades of their lives sometimes, to work on this research and figure out these answers.
Also reading about like what they just discovered too, like, topological conductors, not insulators. It's like when you read about it, it's so complex. Like it's honestly fascinating and I had to slowly read it to like even start to even grasp maybe what it is that they discovered. So to think that they're so detailed and it's all these things that we take for granted because that they didn't really necessarily say it, but the actual thing that they invented will really help for sending energy and for sending
energy efficiency and speed of electronic transfer, right?
Yeah, so the practical applications of the like hard, intense work that they do in physics is going to potentially be what's really going to help us all when it comes to climate change, etc. Anyways, is someone behind me? I'm like on a rant.
Greg is always a little less aware. We're here with Joanne
Corey.
Welcome. Come on into the live stream. Do you mind introducing yourself to the folks online with your name and what you've done?
My name is Joanne Corey. I'm a plant geneticist.
Which we love.
You love that? Okay,
we love
that's
it,
good
yes.
to hear.
Plants are amazing.
Plants are really important for what's happening on the Earth right now.
Absolutely.
Global warming,
And
right?
you are a previous laureate, correct?
Yes, I got it last year.
You got it last year. So
Yeah.
how does it feel to be back here? Is it a different experience?
I'm going to say what I went through last year because I was so nervous. I think I don't even really know
Everything
what
was a
happened.
blur, right?
Yeah, so now I'm seeing what happened like yesterday, and now I know what happened yesterday. Now, today I'll
kind of
learn what
soak it in
happened
a little
today. Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we've interviewed lots of people. Not many people have talked about plants.
Mm-hmm.
We are science communicators. We love talking about plants. You're right, climate change. What is, maybe you could explain the breakthrough prize that you got last year and like help explain to them what it is you got it for, and then we're going to talk about some other things.
Oh, okay. Well, climate change is what I work on now, but I don't think that's what I got the breakthrough prize for. Because
Okay, let's talk about climate change then.
Okay, all right. All right, so, okay. Climate change. So we have all this greenhouse gases up there we need to do something about because even adding a few CO2s every year is causing the planet to warm up. And so how are we going to draw down that CO2? That's the big question. And the new reports are actually much more dire than the old.
Yeah, 2040, everything that came out recently.
20 years from now, basically.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
21 years from now. It's not my grandchildren anymore. It's my children and me.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you have to start thinking about it in those terms. It's really an urgency we all need to kind of adopt. And so I don't think the will is there for people to really quit emitting, give up their cars and do all that stuff. So this is where plants can really help. Because what plants are really good at is taking CO2 out of the atmosphere and turning it into us, right? Into biomass.
Using it for the
we're all
substance.
carbon, all life on Earth is carbon based, and that's what, all that CO2 in the atmosphere is where it comes from. If you track it through a plant,
So, yeah, what is it that you're trying to sort of continue to research with plants in regards to climate change?
Yes. Okay, so plants are really good at photosynthesis, which is taking the CO2, add water, add sunlight, and then you get sugars. and you also get oxygen, okay? Those sugars actually, every year the plant, after it fixes all that carbon, actually degrades, it gets degraded by microbes and things like that. So we're coaching those plants, we hope, to really put a lot more of that carbon into something stable in the root and dig it deep into the ground, because roots can penetrate very far. And so that's what we're doing. So they're the Olympic athletes, and we're like and they want the gold medal. Wow. And they're not going to get it until they're better at burying that carbon. So
that's amazing.
So is it almost like you're trying to figure out how to make plants better at taking in more carbon, keeping it in their roots underground, and literally helping to save us?
Yeah.
You're literally saving us.
I hope so.
With that, I don't want to get on too dark of a note, but do you feel hopeful? Like, has your research made you feel like, okay, maybe people won't change, but we can find ways
I think it's a solvable problem, but we really need to do it now.
Right. The
Can't
timeline
wait
is short.
Anymore. I mean, we just can't wait. And so maybe our plan is not necessarily perfect, but I think we need to be part of the answer.
What would you say to the people listening? Like, how can people continue to be inspired and active in this fight against climate change for themselves? Because obviously it's difficult for people to just jump into research. Is it just a matter of...
There's a lot of ways you can get involved with climate change. So research is one of them. That's the one I'm comfortable with. But I think, policy is another one. We have to all go out and vote and not be lazy about it as well. That's something everybody can do.
Yep.
You can maybe not fly to 3 places you flew to this year. That would help the carbon footprint, because planes really put a lot of CO2 up there. I mean, there's little ways everybody could purchase.
Taking those little steps makes a difference when it's on a mass scale of billions of people, right?
You just have to wake up and really think about it.
Yeah. And read the new study that did come out. You're right, 2040. It is now or
sticking,
never.
Yeah.
So are you currently still a teacher and researcher, through university? And if so, which one?
Salk Institute, which is in La Jolla, and I have an adjunct appointment at UCSD, so University of California is right across the street.
Oh, wow.
From us. But we're a straight research institution, so everybody there is doing research.
Wow.
Yeah, but I have students who come to my lab, both undergrads and graduate students from UCSD.
You're doing amazing work. We're inspired by you and your work. Congratulations.
Enjoy your
last
night,
year,
because
and
a little less.
Yeah, get to just kind of enjoy it tonight.
Just have fun.
Soak it in, and you can look at all the other laureates and be like, I know how it feels, and you can just enjoy it now.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you so much. It was really lovely to meet you.
Thank you so much for talking to us.
All righty. Okay, we have another laureate coming. They're just coming right through. I thought we'd have to vamp a lot more. Oh, okay, the Big Bang.
Hi.
What we got told as you walked over was the Big Bang.
Yeah.
So this is a live stream. Why don't you let people know who you are and what it is that you research or do?
Okay, I'm Dr. Chuck Bennett. I'm at Johns Hopkins University, and my research involves the Big Bang Theory, how the universe began, what it's made of, what the history is, and what the future will be of the universe.
That is a lofty
Wow, that's a very
research.
simple question.
Yeah, there's not much there.
Life
It's
sounds
just
easy. Yeah.
What?
Think of a bigger question.
It just kept going.
Right.
What inspired you to be involved in that, in finding out the origins of the
You're a
universe?
past laureate, right?
From last year, yes. Okay. And so when I was middle school and high school, I was reading a book that said that scientists had just detected radio waves that may have been going across the universe since the beginning of time, since the dawn of time. And my jaw dropped. I go, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then I decided I really wanted to do this and learn more about the universe.
Okay.
And so,
is it true that when we look at static in TVs and hear it in radios, we really are hearing remnants of the Big Bang?
Yes, absolutely true. About 1% of that static actually comes from the beginning of the universe. And so we're trying to study that static.
Okay.
So people who get the breakthrough prizes this year, it's a specific thing that they've researched. What was yours? Maybe you could explain to people this year who are watching. I'm sure they watched last year as well. We know you watched
never know.
them all.
Catch them up.
We're eating popcorn at home, but to freshen us up.
Yeah, so I led a NASA space mission.
Oh, no big deal, no big deal.
that was designed to study this static radiation, this noise from the early universe. We studied it in a great amount of detail, and from that we learned, for example, that the universe is 13.8 billion years old. pretty specific number.
That is, oh my God.
When there are numbers like that, is it within a great deal of confidence, like 13.8?
No, this is very high confidence, and we know that from it also, like the makeup of the universe is about 5% atoms, 25% something we call cold dark matter because we don't know what it is,
Yes.
and about 70% something called dark energy because we also don't know what that is.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that we know now from the measurements, but there's also a lot that's very mysterious that we need to answer.
So when people go, how old is the universe? It has to do with the research that you came
Yes,
up with.
13.8
We
billion.
tweet about that all the time.
Yeah, you find out those facts. It's nice that they kind of like come into little exact numbers, but that's unbelievable.
We felt like we quantified quite a bit, but as I say, just because we quantified it doesn't mean that it answers all the questions.
Right, there's still a lot of other questions.
So one big question I'm still working on is what happened at the very beginning of the universe, because in principle we can learn more from this static than we've learned so far. So I think there's still more discoveries to be had.
All right. Well,
oh my God, maybe you're going to get another breakthrough prize.
Yeah, like what does it mean for you to be here at the Breakthrough Awards now? Now you maybe like people are saying they're less nervous since
I
was not getting it this
no,
year,
it's
right?
definitely. Last year was very busy. They had a hectic schedule for us. This year, I don't have to do all of these things, so it's more relaxing, more, it's fun to enjoy. But I do think the Breakthrough Prize is important because what we do, I think, is interesting to kids in school. It was interesting to me, and
inspire people, right?
To inspire, to communicate, to tell what we're doing, to say how really cool it is.
Absolutely, it honestly is. Like even just hearing you talk about it is inspiring to me. Hopefully, people at home are feeling like
13.8 billion years.
Yeah,
ago.
to find the beginning of the universe and know things about it is unreal. But
and there's more to do. So when I teach
ends.
and I tell the students, this is your good job
you
now.
pick up the next steps of it.
Pass that torch along.
You look young and sprightly. There's still
I
lots
feel
in
like.
yeah, thank you so
honestly.
much.
Honestly, thank you so much for stopping on the live stream. We appreciate it.
And
hope
enjoy your
enjoy
Oscars
night.
of science.
Have a great night.
Bye.
Okay. Woo, how we doing?
13.8 billion years ago. I feel like we have tweeted
Universe.
Out recently.
Yeah.
So
well,
he would have found that out last year.
a much more specific time. Like, well, we're gonna have to look into that.
Like, it's like we're
Those are the questions
insignificant.
that you realize, like, how do people choose that they're going to be like, that's the thing I'm going to find out. Exactly the age of the universe.
And how do you find that out? Anyways, he's right there. We probably could just ask him.
Yeah, I know. I love
But
he's like.
also, it's like whenever I'm super stressed about like anything, like lying in bed, being like, oh my God, we have something to do tomorrow. Like, oh, we have to get up and interview all these people. I'm so scared. I'm like, oh, the universe is 13.8 billion years. I'm
Nothing
only going to
matters.
live 80 years. This does not matter. You don't matter.
But
These
hopefully
people
it's,
matter more
hopefully
than
it's
us.
also inspiring, right? Like it can be. People often wonder, if you think that way though, is it bad? But
No,
to me,
it's how you
it's more like,
relax.
you're able to say like, don't let the little
What do you
things
mean
get
bad?
you.
Oh,
I didn't know if
because
you were
then
like
you're,
nothing
like, a
matters,
nihilist
right?
or whatever.
Yeah. Oh wow, is
There's
there a rocket?
There's a
going
loud
off?
rocket noise and we're near NASA, so I assume we're okay, but we are in America, so I don't know.
Whoa, getting political.
We're Canadian, by the way. Just in case you're wondering.
So,
Why?
Greg, how are you feeling so far? For those of you who are just tuning in, we are
I kind of am
Breakthrough
so. I feel
Prize
so bad. I
ceremony.
kind of almost forgot that we're on camera. I feel like I'm just having so much
Because
fun
it's so
interviewing
engaging.
people.
Yeah, these people are so fascinating. It's like kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity to get to talk to people
Am I doing the
who
right
know so
thing
much.
now? Like I'm not doing this.
I don't know. Yeah, well, it's hard.
Ryan Seacrest, like okay.
I'm like my foot has fallen asleep fully.
Yeah.
I'm like.
Okay, I feel like you're supposed to sort of what did Ryan Seacrest would do? He would
What
be
does
like
he do?
facing the camera, but like this. But I haven't been doing that. I've been fully like
have that
immersed.
skill
Like
quite-
you've just been seeing the back of my head, and I feel bad. I'm sorry if anyone's even
Because
watching.
we're
this.
engaged, though. So hopefully you've been just as equally engaged with their answers.
I feel like you're so much more professional. Like in the way that you speak, I'm like, what are you talking like that?
I'm like, can
You're
we get back on
yeah,
track,
but I'm
please?
like, I don't know. It was a lot.
Okay, what? Take it away, Greg. Take it away.
What is your favorite science fact?
My favorite science fact.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
No, I was
Throw me
actually
on
just
the
kidding.
spot.
I was actually just kidding.
I could name a fact. No, okay. This always pops in my mind because there's a
Oh, wow,
video
good,
of
you could name a fact.
No, there's Richard Feynman has a really cool video that explains.
Oh, a stolen
this.
fact.
It's a stolen fact. Well, aren't all facts just stolen from?
Also,
someone?
are they really facts? Because I'm pretty sure we have some scientists here who could like debunk anything.
Probably. But just as we were talking about plants and how carbon dioxide helps create the substance of those plants.
Yeah.
In a cool way, it's interesting to think about plants actually growing out of the air. Because we always picture their roots in the ground, they get water and nutrients, and that's true.
But where do
they
they
get
the
the carbon
carbon?
dioxide through the air, and the carbon in that helps make that substance of the tree. And so in some ways, they're actually growing out of the air, and that's A cool little fact.
You can't hear the applause, but people are literally
screaming.
applauding
People
him
are
for that thought.
crying. What? Okay, now you have to share a fact.
No, I don't want to. I want to
to.
talk about. I want to talk about of the all. Okay, who were you most sort of excited about to meet prior to all? I think we've met all the laureates now. Like, whose
Yeah.
research stuck out for you?
Research-wise, I don't know. I think I was really excited to meet the dame. Oh gosh, now I'm gonna
Jocelyn
Bell.
Bell.
Thank you. I have a bad memory.
dame?
She was a dame, and she's inspiring because she's literally using her winnings to like donate towards encouraging minorities in science, and that obviously connects with us as like two queer
She
people
had
in science.
She had like a badass attitude.
Yeah, and she was just like, yeah, I can do whatever.
I asked her, like, I was nervous to meet her, and I asked her 6 questions at one, and she was like, well, that was 6 questions. And I was like,
"Yep,
yeah,
called
that's
me
true.
out."
Maybe just, like, answer one of
Live
them.
But
she's
I
amazing.
did not find that inspiring to think
Yeah,
like
ugh.
not only she's went through all these years not necessarily being credited
And
for the work she
specifically
did.
said that she wants to figure out how to give scholarships to refugees because there are really brilliant people in the country that she's from, which is the UK, who are refugees who don't have the status probably to use their intelligent minds to, again, progress the world. And it's like, if they're
We
smart,
have
need
another
them.
laureate. Oh,
Hi,
how's it
Ed
going?
Boyden.
Nice to meet you. How's it going? I'm Mitch.
Hi, Mitch. How are you?
Do you mind letting everyone on the live stream know who you are and why you're here?
So I direct the Brain Technology Group at the MIT Media Lab.
No big deal.
And I was one of the winners in 2016.
Okay.
And what we did was we invented a way to activate brain cells with light.
Oh, yeah, we run a
Tell me,
science YouTube channel, we've used your research before.
Explain it,
Yeah.
and then I want to talk about part of it. But keep letting us know what you did.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you can activate brain cells, you can figure out if you can trigger patterns of activity that could help cure diseases. Could you find a pattern of brain activity that could help cure Alzheimer's, for example? But how do you control the brain? And so what we invented was a way to take molecules from the natural world, they're like little solar panels, install them in the brain, shine light, and you can then control the electricity of the brain, which is how the brain computes. So now thousands of companies and university groups and so forth are using this to discover how to heal brain circuitry in Parkinson's.
By stimulation.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how do you get the light? Like, how do you get the neurons to actually respond to light?
Yeah, so neurons compute using electricity.
Yeah,
And
okay.
What we did was we borrowed molecules from algae and bacteria and funguses and so forth that convert light into electricity. And
Oh
by
my
putting
God, like literally like phosphorescent algae, kind of?
Well, it's more like how our eye see,
Yeah.
how we convert light to signals that our brain can understand.
Okay.
Turns out that algae and bacteria do something similar.
Ah.
So we borrow their molecules, which are much faster and stronger than ours. We put them into the brain cells, and then we can activate them with light.
That is.
I'm wondering, have you either this is your video or it's using this advancement, but there's a video of a mouse that has wires running into its brain that are shooting light, and it's just like running right every time the lights go off.
Yep.
Is that from you guys?
So that's from my co-winner, Carl Dicer.
Oh, amazing.
He and I won
Okay.
the award together.
Yeah, I remember.
We used that in one of our videos, and people like thought it was fascinating.
Yeah. It also raises lots of questions, like when you activate brain cells and control it, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So one of the things we're trying to do is also to start a global neuroethics conversation as well.
Yeah. So have you ever tried this technology in humans, or is it just in like animal stages, or where is that at?
So right now it's a basic science tool that's used in animal models. I'll give you an example. One of my colleagues used our technology to discover a pattern of brain waves that in mice engineered to have human Alzheimer's genes, they get better.
Wow. Oh, so they're using the human genes in the mice?
The human gene in the mouse,
Wow.
activate the brain with a certain pattern, and the mice get better.
Okay.
So now, Li Wei Sai, the person who led this work, she and I have co-founded a company where we are trying to develop movies that do the same pattern of activity. Could you build a movie to treat Alzheimer's disease? So we just began human trials recently.
Oh my gosh.
What?
That's amazing. Okay, so you're
And
doing
so
some
when,
pretty
and when you
incredible
think
work.
about like going back to like neuroethics, it's something like that you sort of spearhead. You think, okay, this is the research that I have. I need to make sure that it sort of like is used properly or in a positive way. Is that like, are you on the board for these neuroethic type of
Well, we're trying to
conversations?
plan a conference, so it will happen in 2020.
Okay.
And we're inspired by all the bioethics that led into molecular
Yeah.
biology, like CRISPR and everything, right?
Okay.
So in 1975, a Nobel laureate named Paul Berg convened a workshop in Asilomar, California, and they laid out these ground rules for the modern age of bioengineering. And so now I think we need to revisit that half a century later and make rules for the
For
era
neurology.
of brain engineering.
And has that, and it's not happened before? Like, are there not really that many discussions around it? Like 2020 is sort of one that you want to create, but are people talking about that right now?
People are talking about it, but I think we want to bring all the stakeholders together.
Okay.
We have companies like Facebook that are doing neuroengineering now. Apple's hiring neuroengineering.
Of course they all are.
So now the question is, if industry's getting involved, if entrepreneurs are getting involved, it sends a sense of urgency that we want to get out ahead of it before it becomes a problem by understanding what does it mean from a privacy standpoint, from an identity standpoint, emotion. These are things that are at the core of what it means to be human.
Wow.
So if we can make this a topic where we are proactive, we say, look, here's what we want to do, here's what we want to do about it, that'd be better to do it now than 10 years from now when maybe it's too late.
It's maybe too late. Wow. Okay. That's like one of those like things where like, thank you.
Truly.
I'm so
I mean,
happy.
so you were awarded the Breakthrough Prize 2016, you said?
That's right.
And what does that mean to you then? Like, what do you think of the Breakthrough Prize ceremony and the awards and what it means for scientists as well as people
Yeah,
who
and you've
aren't
gone
scientists?
through all this. Like, what did it feel like for you?
Oh, well, it was staggering. I mean, obviously, it's a great honor, and usually they wait till we're much older to give out these awards. I think I'm the youngest one to get it so far.
Oh my
Congratulations.
So that was kind of surprising. But I think
feels good.
But it's fun to sort of think about how to make people interested in science. I have 2 young kids now. They're 6 and 8 now, actually, so not as young as when I won the award. But the future of the world depends upon people discovering and inventing things that, from energy to climate to health to understanding the human condition. There's a lot of things we don't know how to solve. So,
what are some things that maybe you say to inspire your kids to get into science that you could maybe say to some younger people watching? Like, how do you try and motivate them to get into science?
Well, I think we want to point out the big problems that we don't know how to solve, and also to raise just how exciting science is. I think of science as an adventure story.
That's what everyone keeps saying. It's a story. I've never thought of it like
in
that.
a textbook, it's like, here's a bunch of things to memorize from people that you never heard of who died long ago.
Yes.
But I think of science as treasure hunting. I mean, the molecules that we found that activate the brain with light, I mean, those were not things we invented. They were hiding in plain sight in Antarctica and in the ocean and in obscure parts of the globe. And CRISPR, which also won the Breakthrough Prize a couple years back, that's also a natural thing you can find in the wild. So, I think a lot of past explorers would voyage into new continents or into outer space, and I think of science as a new kind of voyage, but maybe more into inner space, right? What does it mean to have a brain and have a mind and a body? And for the Breakthrough Prize in Life Sciences anyway, I hope that we can galvanize interest in understanding more about what it means to be human and how to make the human condition better.
Oh, that's so cool.
I've never heard someone describe it that way, and I find that so fascinating. In terms of like explorers, exploring the Earth, sometimes it's like, oh, we're born in a generation where there's not that much left to explore of the planet, but you're like, no, there's so much left to explore, not only in space, but in ourselves.
Right. I agree. Well, I think if you look at, past generations, they had to find the frontier, and then they'd go explore it. And right now, I think we can see into deep space, we can see into the deep ocean. We've pretty much covered the entire set of continents. Not a whole lot left to find on the Earth itself. Now I think we have to take care of it, of course. But yeah, can we explain thinking? Can we explain why people get Alzheimer's disease? Do we understand how to cure schizophrenia? We have no clue.
And also even that concept of storytelling I think is so interesting because a lot of people have said that. Like, science so often is devoid of, a story or of that like interesting thing, but that is what it is. It's so fascinating, and you're discovering things that are already happening within us, and you're creating a narrative around that, and that's just like so important.
And it's just the beginning. So we have another technology that we developed where we want to make a map of the brain. The way we do it is we take a piece of brain tissue, so this is preserved brain tissue, not living, and we can infuse it with a chemical that is like you find in baby diapers. Add water, you can blow the brain up until it's 1,000 times bigger. So here's basically a common household chemical that, when you add water, it blows up. We all know that, right? And yet nobody ever used it to make a map. But now we have a technology we think that can make really detailed maps of the brain. Imagine we could simulate a brain in a computer, right? Could you simulate a thought, simulate an emotion? That'd be pretty cool, and maybe even philosophically challenging if we could do that.
Oh my gosh.
My mind's being blown up.
It's also artificial intelligence, right? So AI is based on ideas that go back to the 1950s that are based on neuroscience-like ideas. But what about the last century? We've learned so much more about the brain. Maybe that could lead to new kinds of artificial intelligence that are creative.
Like AI is being based almost on like research from the past, not necessarily more current research.
Yeah, but what if we were to make a map of the brain so detailed that we could tell you what creativity was, or what ethics were, or how to make a decision properly? Those are things that AI currently doesn't do.
Yeah, wow.
Huge questions
yes,
too,
and
right? For
also
the
it's
future.
Like, get on
no
that
one-
neuroethics too. yeah.
True.
Yeah.
2020, that's our goal.
Yeah.
So-
Wait, what did you say?
2020.
Well, I said 3020. I was like, no, that's I don't know.
A little late. A little late.
Yeah, we got to move faster than
I was like, you planned to live a long time. Can you keep me in on that?
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
for
thank you
stopping
for
by the
talking to
live stream
us.
and inspiring us and everyone else listening.
And enjoy your night because it's less pressure now, right? Like it's not like it's
Yeah,
not.
You have to just have fun now.
Absolutely, yeah. Great.
Great.
Bye.
All right, have a good night. Thank you so much. See you later. All right. I truly feel like my mind is blown.
I was like, oh my god. I'm like, we're whispering about him. But I was like,
right
yeah,
there.
what would you tell your kids? I'm like, his kids are probably like, my dad is so cool.
Yeah, I always wonder because we had like Stephen Hawking's daughter here. Like, it would be so interesting to grow up in an environment with somebody.
Like, no
who's
offense, Dad, I
so
love you.
smart.
You're so smart and so cool. Actually, my dad
They're
does know
probably
so
watching
much.
right now.
Like, hey, Dad, my dad does know a lot, and I do feel like honored that I get to ask him questions, and he usually would have the answer.
course.
But I wouldn't usually ask him like crazy physics questions. but,
No,
like,
of course. Like, imagine having a parent in your house that could like help you with your like university physics work. You know what I mean? Like, there's a point in
I didn't
like,
even think
you know what I
about
mean? Like
that.
Stephen Hawking could probably
you go
help.
because your mom did your homework, didn't she?
Oh please! Where do
She
you
did.
get
You
off?
told me that she would do your projects.
No, I did not.
We're saying this right now. Grade 6 teacher. She's blushing, but I was like, wow, you went right to him answering your physics homework. Interesting, man.
No, but I was like, to have the help and someone who could guide you would be so inspiring, and like someone like Stephen Hawking. Okay. Oh, so what's happening? We just found out.
Scientists are
The
done.
Scientists are
now,
done.
Tech guys and celebs.
Yes, the mood is going to change.
Tech guys and celebs.
How's it
Wah,
going?
wah. I'm just kidding.
Oh, do you guys want to come in back in?
Yes.
Okay. Derek,
Oh
come in,
my
get in the
God,
middle. Get in
speaking
the
of
middle.
Tech guys and celebs. Come in the middle.
Come in the middle. Come in the middle.
All right.
If you don't know, who are you?
My name is Derek. I make a YouTube channel called Veritasium. I'm delighted to be on the live stream with you guys.
How's your evening going so far?
It's going very well. We've spoken to some brilliant physicists, as have you, like Jocelyn Bell Burnell and Alan Guth and Rana Adhikari, who does the gravitational waves. So, yeah, hit some of my greatest hits tonight.
Yeah, because you're also like super in and intelligent with physics. Like, do you know, are these sometimes scientists that you've like studied and like done research for and you're like freaking out?
Yeah.
Who do we do?
Oh my God.
I had this problem when Diana was here too. What is wrong?
Jennifer Doudna? I mean, like, come on,
Yeah,
these are
literal
like,
celeb.
these are legends of science. And so to be able to be here and to meet them and ask them questions, they're all really, really nice people. And so I've been actually live streaming on Instagram.
Yeah, where can people watch the stuff that you've been doing?
If people want to see any of those videos, you can just head over to my Instagram, which is the very
Daddy has 2 kids.
Oh my God. I can't even say anything anymore.
Instagram.
Oh man.
I think I heard that you guys are
very
making them do like a 1-minute explainer of some of their research. Is that true?
We thought about. Diana's
hard.
got some of the scientists to explain their science concisely. I have not held them to that, which is why I've just gone with the live stream and just
Okay.
like gone free balling and see
let them
what
see what
happens.
comes out.
Yeah, exactly. You can't constrain a scientist.
You're free balling?
I'm free balling, like in a matter of speaking, in the way that we are so open.
Not literally.
Well,
okay.
we're gonna leave that
going off
for-
the rails.
That's right.
Sweet.
How did you guys get in charge of this
I
live
don't
stream?
know. I
feel
don't
like
know.
This is a real risk. Like someone was.
People like to take risks here at NASA.
Yeah, you got to mix it up.
that.
You got to mix it
They're
up
just-
from
and I
time
think
to
you guys
time.
are the perfect people to host this live stream. You've been doing
Oh
a
my
brilliant
God.
job.
Like, it's canceled forever now.
No, this is like a hard job, right? To stay out here for hours and just keep talking, right?
Yeah, no, I know.
Tough. I need some.
Wow, thanks, Derek. Yeah,
But this shows just like what great chemistry you guys have, and ability to like get these scientists just open up to you. I've seen a lot of laughter over here, which is not something you often see, so it's great.
Oh, that's so
Appreciate
nice.
it.
Oh my
Well, go
God,
check
he thinks
out
that we could be the
Derek's-
next Ryan Seacrest. That's
Oh my
all I want to hear.
gosh. We've done it. We've done it.
Okay, check out his live stream, Veritasium.
Back to the Grams.
Yeah,
God,
back to the
see ya.
Grams. Bye.
Now we get to just take a little
so here
break.
we go. We're gonna take a little bit of a pause with y'all. Okay.
What do you want to talk about? Because now we're just waiting for sort of the next.
I'm like
batch
so
of people to
intimidated
come
because they just
through.
wrote. All they said to us was next we have
Like
tech
Lori-
guys, which I find quite sexist, and
Oh, is that what it said?
it said tech guys and celebs, and I'm like, interesting. There is a gender issue in tech. Maybe we're gonna get to the bottom of it. Actually, I'm probably gonna panic and not bring that up.
So in the meantime, Greg, where are you looking?
I'm just trying to see if we recognize any of these people to know
True,
what
like
to say.
to know who they are. That's the other problem. Like we know about all the laureates because we've been researching them. We've been so excited. So this can be like a little pop quiz for us to see if we're like culturally tapped in.
We should
to-
look. I think this is a good time to look online and be like, what were questions like people would maybe want to ask people?
Oh, sure.
Because
I mean,
I'm
if you
also
guys wanna
like,
tweet, use the hashtag breakthrough prize.
interviewing scientists
All right, we do have our
Yeah,
first
who is a musician.
guest. All right, we do know who she is.
But interviewing scientists, I think we were just so much more like equipped and like excited.
That's
to
true. We
know,
also
they're
know
like, tell us about
it,
your
yeah.
research.
And because like that's our background. So now,
So
you're gonna
now
see
you have
us
to be like
flailing to figure out.
We're gonna think out loud. Okay, what would you
But,
ask
you know,
a
they're
musician?
But they're all here at a science event. So ultimately, they probably all care about the Breakthrough Prize. They probably care about science research. They probably care about these things. So, you know, we can ask them about other things, but I think it's
Do you
important.
think that we can ask them about things?
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Another little tidbit
We
fact
just-
about Chen.
We just keep turning around and getting
Yeah, we're
like,
like-
really interesting information on a whiteboard. Okay, we stay on brand.
It's on brand. We demanded there be a whiteboard.
We were like, do not write that on a piece of paper, put that on a frickin' whiteboard.
But we've been told that one of her songs is about like
Being a dust in the universe. Were they listening to us be like, what are we gonna ask?
Probably. They know we're panicking.
But also, I do feel like I want to know if I can ask everyone about like their science education, because everyone gets science education
True,
regardless
but
of who
at
you
what
are.
Point, and it's
At what
interesting
point
to know
did you
when people
stop?
maybe feel, because we get a lot of people who watch our show saying, you know, I didn't like science at a certain point because I had a really bad experience, or just no one really inspired me, but then this kind of brought me back into the loop. So it's always nice to know, yeah, like where on their journey they either said like, oh, I'm going to go on a different path because science is too hard or science isn't
Or
interesting.
the one thing that I always want to talk about as someone who loved visual art and loved science, you get separated when you're in,
Yeah,
in
you're
high
kind of
school.
forced
So I want to ask people too, like, did you feel that pressure of being like, oh, I'm
Right.
an artist, I'm an actress,
Yeah.
I'm a singer, so therefore I can't be involved with science?
Because obviously they're here, they're interested in science, right?
Yeah, and someone just walked so full force with like her phone on her ear. I was like, that girl's important. But yeah, I do feel like, I don't know, I think like, maybe that's an important thing to ask people who are artists and stuff. Like, did they ever feel alienated from science, or are they here because they loved science?
And the nice thing
chose a
too
different field?
is for people in other fields, like you don't have to be a researching scientist to care about science.
You do have to get a breakthrough
To
prize.
get a breakthrough prize, you
get a
do. But
breakthrough
for
prize.
anyone at home, like there's plenty of people who love science and will use their platform, whether it's music, any kind of art, whether you're into politics, you know what I mean? Like you don't
Yeah.
have to be exactly in the science field to influence it or care
And
about
that's
it.
what we
and
see a lot
support
with
it.
like the fans of AsapSCIENCE is people being like, I'm so happy that you exist because I'm actually someone who went through like a humanities degree and now I work
I
in
love
PR,
science,
but
yeah.
I get to learn science through you, which is okay. You can even like subscribe to science magazines. Like I obviously spend a lot of time reading science, but I subscribe to Science the magazine, and that's what helps me just keep interested. And they design them so that you learn, like anyone could read it and learn about what's happening in science. Like you can watch AsapSCIENCE, you can watch Veritasium, watch Physics Girl, or you can subscribe to magazines. You don't have to always
Did you
think that
say
science
AsapSCIENCE?
isn't for you. Did I?
I'm like, did you plug our channel?
Subscribe to AsapSCIENCE.
For those of you who don't know, who are just tuning in,
Hi,
oh,
Jem.
we're gonna stop here. Jem, how's it going? Welcome to the live stream. Can you say, let everyone know who you are and what you do?
Hi, I'm Jem. I'm from Hong Kong, and my name, Jem, actually stands for Get Everybody Moving.
Oh, nailed it.
It's a movement.
So what has brought you to the Breakthrough Prize? And we were also told, just on a whiteboard, that you have a song that's sort of like a little bit involved with
dust in the
science.
universe.
Or yeah, explain that.
Yeah, I'm going to perform my original Chinese song, Like Years Away, and it's actually a theme song for the movie Passenger. So the whole movie, it's
Like
about
tied into-
space, traveling in space. Yeah, it's a love story.
Did you write this song for the movie? Like, is that what got you interested in the science aspect of it?
Yeah, exactly.
Have you always been interested in science, or have you had an interest, or like where do you stand in terms of like?
Well, I actually started my own investment company a year ago,
Okay.
and it actually focused on tech startup.
Oh wow. Okay.
So, but I'm still a newcomer.
Okay, you're still playing the field now. And what does the Breakthrough Prize mean to you? Do you think, like, how, is it important to you to see science proliferated and celebrated in this way?
Yeah, exactly. I actually started my own YouTube channel 10 years ago, 11 years ago.
All right.
And
we
then
are YouTubers as well.
Yep. And people actually started recognizing me and listen to my music on the internet. So I'm kind of enjoying the benefit of technology
Absolutely.
since day one. So it means a lot that tonight I'm able to perform to all the great scientists that have a lot of impact in the world.
Absolutely.
So when you were in school, and assuming we all had to learn some science, how far did you go with science, and was it something that you enjoyed when you were a kid?
You can say
Yes,
no,
You're allowed
too.
to
Lots
say
of
no. We love art. We're visual artists on top of loving science. You don't have to say yes.
I actually was a science student.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So it does tie all back into while we're here.
Yeah. I was good at mathematics.
Okay.
Yeah. I was not so good at chemistry though.
Okay.
Yeah, I always found chemistry
And
really
then when
hard,
did you
too.
pick up your love of music? Was that like since you
Yeah.
were really young, or like did it come later in life?
I started writing my own songs when I was 13.
Oh wow.
But I started playing the piano since I was 4 actually.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Okay,
I started really at a young age.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Enjoy your night. We're
Yeah,
excited to see
I'm
you
excited to see you.
perform.
Thank you.
And yeah, have an amazing time.
Oh,
At-
we have a request for you to shout out to the people on YouTube who have been asking for you all.
Oh my God.
If you don't mind just saying hi to everyone on
Hello, 大家好. Hello, 大家好. Hello, I'm Jem.
Oh my gosh, you got
Probably
like
so
no,
happy.
So an arm just came in and was like, "You need to tell the listeners
First
and
time
the
that's
people
happened.
that they're watching." Oh my gosh, they're in there, the fans.
Thank you so much for coming to the live stream and saying hi, and we are so excited to see you perform tonight.
my honor.
All right, enjoy the evening.
Bye,
See you
Jen.
later.
Bye.
Okay.
See, she loves science, even though she loves art.
Yeah, but that's a cool thing. Like, of course, everyone's going to have different interests, but if we can find ways as science communicators and as scientists to make sure everyone still has a passion for science and understanding the world, then that will
That
be
was so
important.
funny. Like I literally thought something like really serious happening when like I was panicking and they were just like, "No,
Someone's
shout out
touching
'cause
me."
people love her."
So hopefully that made you all happy and satisfied that.
Oh wow,
well,
goes
we're in
to
America.
once. Hopefully that made y'all. There's a. Sorry, I keep talking about things I'm looking at, but there's like a photo up
Yeah,
over
I'm
there.
trying.
that
I'm
looks
just like
amazing.
not. Yeah, there's a lot going
My
on.
carpets are so funny because honestly, if you stopped and kind of just like did the right pose, everyone would just freak out and assume you
Start
were
taking
famous.
pictures. Yeah, you just got to wear like a sick.
Like I'm
dress.
literally like, all these people are famous, but I'm like, I don't know, maybe they're not. Because the scientists are gone. I need to like get my energy
Those are
back,
our famous
Because like I feel like
people.
the scientists are gone, and I was kind of like, okay, but now I'm like really excited.
Well, there are a lot of people behind us, but we're just gonna have to wait till one of them comes to us now.
There's a lot of beautiful people.
Yeah.
We did not get hair nor makeup, so if
No,
we're
and the
sweating
sweat is
and
not
we're looking a little
helping.
disheveled, it's like, oh my god, like my hand. The hair bro.
Oh, may we have some water? Oh my gosh. Well, you hold my microphone.
Not sponsored.
Oh, we
Do
won't-
not show that.
Oh, I don't know. Okay, we're gonna have a little water break with you guys. You can go get a coffee, get a sip of pop or something.
The like hair product that I used by myself, again, we didn't get hair and makeup. I'm gonna speak alone. What should I do? Should I do some stand up? Okay.
That's all. Do you want some?
Oh, well, I was just about to get into my stand up routine and maybe go viral, but here we are.
You can do it. Greg has actually started stand-up and integrated science into a lot of his stand-up. So that's a cool new thing that you're doing. What do you believe there's an important crossover between like
I'm like, should I stand over there? Hi,
music
I'm a
and
famed
here, I'm
science
gonna,
comedian.
can I put this
Gregory.
back on there?
Yeah.
Do you think there's an importance to mix like art and science?
Yes. You mean like comedy? Yes. I think that comedy is devoid of like. I swear to God, I'm talking to someone. No, I think comedy's been thrust into like punchline. But it's like, I think it's really important. If you have people's attention, that's an amazing time to teach them something. It's an amazing time to learn. That's like with Ninette. It's like you learn a lot while also laughing. And also, I just think that like we're at a time when comedy can be really educational. So I'm trying to do that. But I'm still new, so I'm still trying to do like punchline, but with science. I think I need to like get more confident to actually stop and teach people something seriously and then make them laugh.
Well, what about, because Greg has a background as an actual teacher as well. Like you were a science teacher in
Yeah.
schools. What has it been like for you to go into these different fields of?
What do you mean?
You
Like,
started as a science teacher,
Yeah.
now you're a science communicator, but you also work in comedy.
I love how I get to say to you.
Okay.
Cool.
Yes.
It's
we might
former
have
USA.
former USA coming up.
I
Stay
love
tuned.
how you get to like, I get to be like, what do you mean? But that's
yeah.
probably what all these people want to say to us, but they can't because they don't know us.
What do you mean?
Like when we ask them questions, they probably want to be, what do you mean? Never mind.
When you're like, you're not explaining the question very well.
No, I think being a science,
Like, what's it been like for you to be in all these different
it's been so
fields?
challenging and hard because I knew I wanted to be a science teacher my whole life. And now I think I am a science teacher in a different way. But comedy is actually very similar to being a science teacher. You're commanding an audience. When you're a science teacher, you're commanding an audience that doesn't want to be there, that don't want to listen to you. So there's a lot of teachers
Not
who are
always,
comedians.
but you
not
in
always,
general.
but in general, sorry. Like when the age groups that I was dealing with. But also a lot of teachers are stand-up comedians as well. Because
What?
Yeah, I've noticed that because it's a similar type of skill. Getting
Oh, I
in
guess
front
you're
of
in front of people. You're able to like
you're
work the
performing.
crowd, like based
Yeah,
on their
exactly.
mood,
It's
based on their tone.
Usually similar amounts of people. Like on a good night, if you're a stand-up comedian, there's 28 people there, and that's like a classroom size.
Okay. Well, let's bring it back to science because that's why we're here. I mean, we can. What? Why'd you give me that face?
Oh, I don't know. I just zoned out. Kara McCullough.
Okay, got a name now.
Former
Perfect.
Miss USA. Okay.
Just tap us on the shoulder when they arrive.
Does anyone know about Miss USA? Like, what does that mean?
Of course people do.
Yeah, it's a
many people.
competition.
Yeah, I
okay.
mean, I don't really know much about it. We're also not from the USA, so it's a little bit different for us.
I
We
wonder
don't
what year.
see
Is
those
that okay?
shows.
Is that an appropriate thing to ask? What year they were the Miss USA?
We'll find out. We'll just
Okay.
let them talk about themselves. Maybe I could even, if they don't come in the next minute, which might be happening. Oh, I think it's happening right now. I'll bring up Twitter later. Hello, how's it going? Welcome to the live
I'm Greg.
stream.
Nice
How's
to
it
meet
going?
you.
I'm Mitch. Nice to meet you. Why don't you say hi to the live stream and let them know who you are and what you do? It's all the younger.
My name is Kyra McCullough, and I am actually the former Miss USA from 2017-2018.
Wow,
And last year I got to actually present alongside Kevin Systrom, who is the co-founder of Instagram, and it's amazing to be back here because guess what? Science rules, and I'm a
Yes.
a chic geek. Come on, give it the program.
Love that. Okay, it's like, can we take that? Like, is that your tagline? Like, yeah, you're like, that's copyright.
We're also chic geeks.
So you were here last year. What was your experience like last year? And how
Yeah, we're like we're online science YouTubers, and we're like, what is this? Like, what is this?
I mean, this literally is the Grammys of science, right? This is the event that you want to be at because people here are superheroes in my eyes. These are the people that are changing the way we operate, changing the way that we live our daily lives. So being here is an absolute honor because I love everything about science and technology and the way it just makes our lives that much more convenient.
Absolutely. Have you always had sort of an interest in science as like something in your life?
Unknowingly, I did. So when I was like a little girl, I lived in Japan. And in Japan, we lived in towers, right?
Yeah.
So in the basement of the tower floor, there was a trash room. I would find myself like rummaging through the trash a lot, finding stuff. And I found a science kit, brought it home. My mom was disgusted. She made me throw it away. But
I loved it.
I found it in the trash.
Remember the Scholastic newspapers that used to come
Yes,
around?
yeah.
Okay, so I was able to order a science kit through that and a grow
Okay.
your own bouncy ball kit. So she saw something inside me, which was, inspirational, and she just made sure she ignited that passion for discovery. So I love everything about science. I actually studied radiochemistry, and now I work in nuclear energy.
That's amazing.
So, yeah.
What? You do all those? Oh my gosh, you work in nuclear energy? So tell us about that. Like, what is it that you work in? Like, explain it.
Yeah, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission.
Okay. And
I don't even know what that means.
How long have you been involved with that?
So 5 years.
5
It took
years.
a year sabbatical when I was Miss USA, but I even have my own nonprofit called Science Exploration for Kids, and we do one-day big events where we bring in a lot of different technology, 3D printers. Facebook did this really cool science setup for us last year, and we did this in DC. So we had about 120 students come out, and we gave away a lot of gift prizes. They did challenges, and it was just amazing to see how young a child is and how ready they are to absorb this type of stuff that I fell in love with at a young age as well.
But not in the trash. You don't make them rummage through trash.
It's like just your own personal lived experience.
Glass.
You're like, if I only had that.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that's so cool. I mean, obviously it's amazing that there are some scientists here who dedicate everything of their lives to science, but I think it's also so inspiring that you're able to incorporate all elements around you. Like, you're interested in science, but you're interested in fashion, you're interested in like everything else. Like,
I love Chic Geek.
What could you say to people who are watching that? Because I think a lot of kids kind of get told, like, you either have to do this or
Yeah,
you have
art
to
and
do
science.
this, right?
Don't you find there's like a division in it sometimes? Like, I don't know, speak on that. Like, people don't need to choose one or the other.
They don't. So actually with my nonprofit, we focus on science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. So yes. So something as simple as a dress like this, we have to remember that the textiles fall under different polymers. So to even get a color like this to stick in certain fabrics, the testing has to go through a lot. So that's another aspect of this theme when I show to young girls, where I'm actually doing...
If you want to be interested in fashion or make fashion, you have to know science.
Yes, and I'm actually going to be doing a DIY with a young girl from Radio Disney, and we're going to be doing like lip gloss and nail polish and like a bath bomb, and just showing the science behind it rather than just the production.
Love that.
Do you have a YouTube
I love
channel?
that.
Oh.
Of course
Yes,
you
no,
can,
of course you
yeah.
can know ours, but also you should like just start that
do
as a YouTube
one. Yeah,
channel.
that'd be amazing. Yeah.
500, but that's it.
Give a what?
Oh, that's a good enough camera.
What do y'all have? Y'all have something really nice.
This is not.
ours.
Yeah, we don't
This
even
isn't-
know. Yeah, I wish we did.
No,
Like, we do
also
not
just-
have something that sounds that fancy.
Simple
like
is
a Canon
sometimes
6D.
better. You know what I mean? Being able, especially on YouTube, just being able to like be real with people and have them kind of like connect with you in a way, but then also teach them is an amazing thing.
AsapSCIENCE, right?
Yeah,
ASAP, yeah.
Oh, come on our show for sure.
Yeah.
Here live
Collab coming up.
Yeah.
Me and my new friends.
Amazing.
The ultimate chic geek kind of.
Yes! Oh my god, I
Okay.
love that.
Into it,
Yeah.
truly.
No,
Well, yeah.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
We'll connect.
Yeah.
Okay, cool,
Well,
yeah,
thanks for
thanks
stopping by.
yeah, putting
I'm
your
sure
voice
everyone
towards
appreciates the live streams. You can give them a
And your
shout
dress
out.
is beautiful.
Thank you.
The polymers are on point.
Yeah. Well, enjoy your night.
7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Nat Geo for the Breakthrough Prize Award.
True, we have not said that
Yes.
yet. Yeah, okay, yeah.
You're better at our
Yeah.
job than we are.
Oh yeah, we're here for something. Watch it. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, it's really nice to meet you. We'll see you later.
Oh my God, yeah.
So
watch
true.
the award show.
The award show's on after this. Well, yeah, that is obviously we're doing the red carpet for the award show. I just thought it was like implied, but you're right.
Yeah.
At 7 at Nat
And
Geo.
I
It
didn't
is.
even know.
It is also being streamed
Also, she's
on
really
YouTube
tall.
and
We're
Facebook.
not short. It's like,
Would it matter?
no, it doesn't matter. But I just wanted people to know that.
Yeah, she was very tall, and I mean, I think she was in nice high heels as well. But okay.
I really liked her dress.
All right. I think we have Sal Khan coming up, who was a big
Oh,
inspiration to
Khan
us.
Academy.
Yeah, if you don't know, we can talk to him about what he does, but was one of the YouTube channels in terms of making content.
And didn't you get like
was
taught
educational.
by him? Like taught by him? You went to it like
Yeah,
a long
I had,
time ago.
when we were first starting our YouTube channel, I went to like a conference that he was heading, and that was just so inspirational. It was when we had like 10,000 subscribers, so we had just started our journey.
I was still teaching.
Yeah, and I got in, like, I went because you were teaching and got invited to that, so that was, yeah. So I'm really excited for Sal Khan. He's just coming down the line right now.
But I turned this off by mistake.
I think someone will let
I'm
me
like,
know.
someone turn my mic off. They're like, he needs to stop talking.
But yeah, no, I think that's inspiring to see somebody who's like, I don't know, interested in so many. That's what I was kind
She
of
was just
getting
like,
at.
I work in nuclear. Like, what did she say? I was like, oh wow.
Yeah, like it's cool. It's really cool to have people, and that's what I was pointing out with you as well. That you're interested in comedy, but you were also a teacher, and
Yeah,
you're
but I
also
don't
a
work
science
in like nuclear physics.
No, you don't. You don't. But you're
I
a
do
science
not.
communicator.
I know.
And you're interested in art.
Prop me up.
That's what
for
this is about. So yeah, how do you think things are going so far?
I mean,
how do you feel?
I don't know. I think things are going okay.
You keep talking. I was going to look on Twitter to see if there were like any questions. I know most of them were going to be for the laureates, but I just am curious what, if any, would be for us, or we could have fun answering some of those questions.
No, yes, things are definitely going great. I feel like the scientists were so interesting, so fascinating. Their research is so amazing. Ooh, there's things online.
Yeah, there are. There's pictures
This
of us
is
talking
really
to
great
laureates.
content for
Yeah,
us looking at our Instagram feed. Oh my God, we look so cute. Oh my God, people said that they think we look cute.
What is the most interesting or unbelievable fact you know? I guess we kind of already went. You didn't answer that question yet.
What?
The most interesting or unbelievable fact you know? You threw that on me, and you still haven't answered, and now it's your turn.
That plants grow out of the air. I'm just kidding. I just take his. Okay, I don't know the exact number, but I think it's like there's a 1 in 1 billion, like trillion chance that in all of the universe that you would end up near a planet. So like we are actually just so lucky that we are even like alive on a planet. First of all, life in general, like the definition of life in our universe is so rare.
You're being interrupted.
Oh, we're being interrupted.
You're lucky. Saved by the bell.
Anyways,
Hey,
thank
how's
you.
it going? Hello,
come
Sal
on.
Khan.
Come
Welcome
talk
to the
to
live stream.
us.
How's it
Hi.
going? Let everyone know.
I'm
Mind
Greg.
both saying who you are and what you do.
I'm Sal Khan of the Khan Academy.
I'm Omama Marvi. I'm a rheumatologist.
Thank you guys for being here and stopping by the live stream. We have a YouTube channel that was obviously inspired by the work that you do
the
on
Khan Academy.
YouTube. We make science, but yeah, I came to a conference like when we were starting and saw you talking at that conference, and that inspired a huge part of what we do at AsapSCIENce. Yeah, if he can do
all
it,
relevant.
then
Yeah, that's exactly what I was like. We're like, wow.
That was the train of thought, but
Pretty sound logic. Yeah.
So you being here, you've come here many years, both of you, right? Like, what does this mean to you specifically?
It's the day that I take my tuxedo out.
Really?
You know,
Gotta get that old thing out of there.
It's been like 3 years since yes, so it's that. No, it's in all seriousness, the type of science that will be celebrated today will change all of our lives. And it's really powerful that it's finally being celebrated this way, because it's going to redefine humanity, and we just don't realize it yet, or we'll start to realize it from events like this.
Very articulate. Yes, that's all. Pretty much.
Out of your mouth.
No, we're just very excited to be able to celebrate in such a really glamorous way. Science, which is something that should have been done a long time ago.
I know it doesn't happen enough. Like we always are just trying to figure out like how do we get science into pop culture? How do we get science to be something that people really care about? This award show is trying to do it. What do you think is sort of like like from the past years that you've been involved with it, what do you think is the best aspect of it? Like, what is the takeaway from tonight?
Well, what's cool about it is when they celebrate the scientists, they also celebrate their stories.
Okay.
So whether or not I mean, all of the science is big science, but you also understand like their stories of perseverance and how did they get to where they're going. So that's all exciting. The other one that we're obviously connected to is the Junior Breakthrough Challenge.
Okay.
And y'all could probably relate to this. These are high school
We had
students.
met Samai?
Yeah.
The guy who won this year?
I
Yeah.
haven't met yet.
He's
yeah,
great.
But these are amazing young people who are going to be the explainers of tomorrow, or maybe come up with the breakthroughs of tomorrow. So that tends to be a pretty inspiring part of the evening.
And Khan Academy too, like is that what you think about with your manifesto, trying to get information out there so that young people maybe end up here later?
That's the idea. You know, there's one dream of you want to move the whole distribution so everyone can understand science, everyone can be a kind of a 21st century contributor. But then there's also this idea for every Albert Einstein that gets discovered, how many young girls who are growing up in a slum could have been that Albert Einstein but never got the opportunity. I think there's 50 times as many. And what if we can just discover some of them and start to cultivate some of them, then we'll all benefit.
That's so true. I'm curious, like, with all the people that are watching, we probably have lots of young viewers. How do you keep young people inspired to like science? I mean, obviously events like this are trying to do exactly that, but what kind of words of advice can you
what
give
would
to
you
these
guys say
people
to young people
watching? Like, how do you...
As people who love science.
Yeah. What words of advice do you have?
Or you love science?
Oh, how do they?
Or like, how do you guys... Yeah, I don't know. It's so hard, but like, what would you say to people?
Just don't be afraid. I mean, don't be afraid of just making things that break and keep making and keep putzing around, and you'll probably figure it out.
Yeah, in science, like failure should be embraced, kind of, because it's like every great breakthrough doesn't just happen because of successes after success.
One of the laureates' whole thing was like he spent 10 years trying to figure something out that he solved in one day, and it was 10 years of failing until he solved it. And I think that's just like an amazing truth, that failure is just as much a part of success as always being right. No one's always right.
We love failure.
Don't we? Yeah, everyone. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking time to talk to us. Enjoy your night, and we're glad that you both have come here to co-sign this awesome event and make science cool.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Have a good night. Thank you. So nice to meet you. We'll see you later.
Hands formally.
Thank you.
We're on a red carpet.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yes. So truly, we did watch those videos, and they're much more like pedagogical.
I use Khan Academy all the time for AsapSCIENCE videos, like when I'm trying to get like the basic understanding.
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
So
Did you ever use it as a teacher in school, or was that even pre?
No,
it was like the very
because I
beginning.
also taught younger people, so it was water. What are you saying? Do I look parched?
Our mouths are so.
It was too. It was too detailed for my young students, but I'm sure they're using it now.
Well, yeah, so it depends on the age groups, right? Like there's different topics that are covered in different levels of detail, but. All right. I see. Yes, I see the host of the evening, Pierce Brosnan, walking by. There he is, James Bond. And the old James Bond is right there.
Our host
of
the evening.
So he will be hosting the event that starts at 7 o'clock, as well as many of these.
The airport, the hangar that we're in looks like a James Bond set.
It does. It truly does. I mean, while we're at NASA, you would only expect as much, I guess.
But I think it's more iconic for Mamma Mia, obviously, than James Bond. We all know that.
I guess, yeah, you're a big Mamma Mia fan. Yeah, I might steal that water as well. Thank you.
Well, I guess Pierce Brosnan doesn't want to talk to the YouTube live stream. I'm just kidding. Should we wrangle him? Is this when we're supposed to be like, Pierce! Pierce! Pierce!
Thank you. Oh, there's Susan Wojcicki.
Oh.
The CEO of YouTube. Maybe we can call her. She knows who we are, right?
Yeah,
she loves our YouTube channel. Yeah, so at 7 o'clock, like Pierce will be hosting. Pierce, it's like I know him. I've lived.
Yeah, Pierce, our good friend Pierce.
But
if you just tuned in, you just missed our long, in-depth conversation with Pierce
Brosnan. But there'll be plenty of other like celebrities, and there's some performances and stuff that are
by Gem.
Yeah, they're announcing different winners, so it'll be a really interesting show. So make sure you either tune in. It's a separate live stream than this one, and it's also on Nat Geo TV, so you can check them out.
LOL at us forgetting about the actual event. And we didn't forget, but tune in at 7 p.m. on National Geographic. Can you watch it online? I shouldn't bring that up if you can't. Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
okay,
it's
cool.
streaming on not this link, but another YouTube link and another Facebook link, as far as I know, seeing if anyone's going to correct me. I had a question that somebody had asked, and I want to find it now.
Pierce Brosnan is extremely handsome in person, if anyone wants to know. What other things can we let people know from the red carpet?
One of the questions somebody was asking was like,
Julian
how
walked
do...
by, she looked at me stripped on her dress for 1 second,
Is
but
she
she
here?
caught it. She already walked by.
Oh, I missed her.
I was staring at her.
I haven't looked this way once.
I know.
Guys,
I'm
how's it
sorry. I
going?
feel like these. I feel like
neck,
viewers.
My neck.
But I feel like viewers are probably like, Greg, why do you keep staring off into the distance? I'm like, there's Julianne Moore.
Should we change places?
No.
No?
This is my side.
You love that side.
Yeah, you know that.
I know. It's true, though.
And you always say this is your side, too.
It is, but like my neck hurts from looking this way. the
I
whole
have not
time.
been looking at the camera at all this whole time.
You know what? This is our first time ever hosting a red carpet, so
And you tell?
maybe that's obvious. One thing.
There's been moments where I've literally been like, what do we do next?
I'm gonna grab a towel.
What were you just about to chirp me or something?
Yes.
Oh my God, where did Mitch go? Oh my God, Mitch. Mitch? Where'd you go?
That-
Oh my
that.
God, you disappear when you go off camera. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's like you don't even exist. This
Like,
is the realm of reality.
Mitch has a really serious issue in his life. He actually only is physically able to be seen when a camera is on him.
Yeah, I don't exist in the real world.
And it's like really weird. It's really tough for our relationship because it's like, I don't know, they're
To
always
film
just, like,
everything.
A camera rolling, but in this day and age with phones, it's not that hard.
I'm gonna go back to the Twitter question that I had. That
Lily
was actually more
Collins?
for us. Okay, are you just gonna?
I'm trying to be Ryan Seacrest.
Yeah, but he actually talks to them.
Well, that's
Okay.
true. There we go, Susan.
Yeah, we know Susan.
Sorry, what were you gonna do? You were gonna chirp me.
The Twitter question. No, I was going to bring up a Twitter question that someone was asking. Like, they're inspired by all these people who are creating all these breakthroughs, have amazing research, but they're in school and they were wondering, like, how do you stay motivated and how do you study in school when you're interested in it but you find it hard? Like, do you have any tips for?
Okay, so when it comes to studying, I think the most important thing to do is to get started. I would always do such a good job of procrastinating, going to get my muffin, going to get my coffee, and being like, oh, I'll just go on Facebook, whatever.
She's gonna skip over us. Hi, Susan. How's it going? Nice to see you. We are AsapSCIENCE. Nice to see you, Susan. Let everyone know we're on the live stream. You can let everyone know who
The
you are.
YouTube live stream. Hello. You are in your home.
Okay, yes.
How's it going?
I'm very excited to be here. I love the celebration of science and seeing all these scientists that otherwise we wouldn't know about and being able to expose and celebrate all the great work they do.
So have you been to the past prizes? How many prizes have you been to? Are you a breakthrough connoisseur?
At least 4.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Regular. So
Yes, I'm a regular.
are you excited for this year?
I am.
Have you heard about some of the laureates yet, or are you excited to find out about them now?
Both.
Both, a mix of both? Okay.
I've heard a little bit, and I'm excited to hear about more. But yeah, I think it's a pretty amazing. The whole fact that we're celebrating science in this way, and everyone is here together, and there are these amazing prizes, and people are here, and we have it being televised. I mean, all these things that don't normally happen for science.
Yeah,
I know. That's what we were saying. Like, it's like we do need to figure out how to make them rock stars because they're doing the actual things that are going to change our lives for the better. So this is so great that this is happening.
I mean, the science is this is what is going to change our lives, and they're going to find all kinds of cures and make our world better. And so it's good to celebrate it and also to encourage the next generation. So you have probably a lot of young people out there that will be future winners.
Absolutely, yeah. That's what we hope to inspire people to get in that lab and start
so we want to
researching
encourage
something.
them that they can really change lives this way.
Do you, like with your kids, do you try and tell them certain things to help get them interested in science? Like, is there anything you could tell to people that maybe is connected with you about why you think science is so important and like almost like inspiring for younger people?
So I think it's the idea that everything is solved already. I think young people think that everything is solved.
That's so true.
Yeah, and they think that when people explain stuff in science that everything is understood.
Yeah, that it's like truth.
That it's all the truth.
Yeah.
But the reality is there's so much that's still not understood. And last year, actually, there was a winner who said a lot of times when you ask questions and people explain stuff, that they still don't really even know exactly what they're talking about.
Yeah.
That there's a lot of
Like there's a lot of room for other people to come in.
there's a lot of room to understand it better. And so I just think it's important for young people to know that not everything is solved. In fact, most things are not solved.
Still, like, we're just like, yeah, we kind of know about that.
Scraping the surface. Yeah.
So it's a great opportunity to explore, and anyone who's curious and is asking questions and it still doesn't make sense, there's probably a reason it's not making sense because there's probably still more to learn, more to discover.
Like so much of even the laureates for this year, we were saying like their research and their science is behind fundamental things that we know about, but no one just knew why they work. Like they're literally finding out why certain cells divide this way. We always knew they did, but we didn't know why. And that's exactly like what you're saying. Like there's so much more detail to things that we need to know. So that's great advice.
Yeah. So I'm excited to be here, and I think just the celebration and the prizes and everyone being together is an amazing place. It's an amazing place to be. So
I have one last question I want to ask you. I'm curious about what you think the role of like education on YouTube is, because obviously like we're YouTube educational creators. We have a couple beside us as well. In whether it's inspiring kids to do research, like as the head of YouTube, like where do you see that going in the future, and what do you hope for it?
I'm always impressed the way people tell me what they learned on YouTube. So everywhere I go in the world, really no matter who they are, whether they're a kid or they're a famous person, they always tell me they learned something on YouTube.
True. Like and it could be anything too, right? The strangest things sometimes.
Learning a language to an instrument to fixing something in their house, but there's also a whole generation that's growing up and using it as a way of understanding subjects better. And so I see that I think YouTube plays an incredibly important role, and we know that we do 1 billion views a day in educational content, and we want to continue to grow that and invest in this area so everyone can learn. And YouTube is just this amazing library. Think about it, it's a video library. It's got an answer to everything, and a lot of people are visual learners, and so learning by seeing a video or seeing how something works is really a whole other dimension. And so there are a lot of people that would have had a hard time learning something from a book, but can learn from it with YouTube.
Yeah, doing research about plants. I think it's true. Like we often overlook the importance of plants. We literally demolish them for our own like lives, and I just think that like
forget like the significance of them, or even like Susan was just saying, like how much is left to learn, right? So there's like we look at plants every day. We kind of just are like, oh yeah, trees are there, flowers are there. That's good. Okay. And yeah, so it's nice to like have someone who's in the midst of like being like, we can do so much more with plants that we're not necessarily taking advantage of right now, and that can change the world. And we're obviously in a time when climate change research has come out saying
that's what I think was interesting for her. She was just like, climate change is a huge issue, global warming is a huge issue, plants are obviously a huge important part of that. Why don't we like figure out ways to actually study them? And in her specific case, it was getting carbon out of the air to be more like to like almost go into the roots more. Like literally, they already are taking carbon out of the air. How do we literally
optimize them?
Yeah, and I think sometimes it's amazing how often I forget to bring up plants when I talk about climate change.
Yeah.
Like we always talk
and
about
that like this is why putting funding and money into research is so important, because as we know, it's so difficult for people to change lifestyles, right? Like it's hard to change on a mass scale the way that we live in this world, but if we can put money then at least into systems that help create technologies that will literally reduce the impact that we're having on the earth, then at least that's something we can support.
Yeah.
If we can't support in our own lives having like, you know, shorter showers or driving less or flying less, you know, sometimes you can't control that, but you can then at least support science. And that's something that's important to us, is always like being aware of who supports science, whether it's politics or whether it's just like whatever.
Yeah, we're not American, but go vote on Tuesday. If you were young and you're watching this, please go vote.
Yeah, and vote with science in mind. That's something that matters to us. Like, it doesn't.
Yeah, we made a video,
matter.
Vote for Science. Look at
yeah, because that is going to be the future of our world, and it inspires people who will then also, knowing that there's funding in science, will help promote people to actually be in science and create a world that's sustainable. Who thought that would be a cool thing? Might be nice, and science is like the way to get there, truly. So, anyway.
So are we going to be interviewing Ron Howard?
I see him standing there, and I see them talking to him like he might be.
Howard? I'd be like,
well, we're literally about to find out. Hello!
Hi, Ron Howard.
Hi,
nice to meet you. Welcome to the live stream.
Thank you. That's cool.
I don't think you need to be introduced, but why don't you say hi to everyone and let them know what you do.
Ron Howard. I'm a director and producer with Imagine Entertainment.
Yeah.
In fact, we have Mars coming up very soon for Nat Geo.
When does that come out?
It comes out in like a week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 10 days. 10 days.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's our season 2 of Mars on Nat Geo. So check that out. And of course, you know, what with Apollo 13 and Beautiful Mind and a number of other projects. Genius is our series. So the idea of sort of science finding its way into storytelling and great drama is something that I really connect with, and so I'm inspired to be here tonight. It's my first time here.
Oh, this is your first time. Okay.
Because we're science YouTubers, so we're science communicators, and you, with Apollo 13 in your movies, do you ever think about how you're making you almost are a science communicator. Do you think about that when you make the movie?
I do, and all of my science teachers, going back to junior high and high school, would probably be laughing if they're still alive, and rolling over in their graves if they aren't, because I was not the most attentive science or math student, but I found so much drama in it, and a kind of kinship with the scientists out there, because there's a level of creativity and experimentation and even courage
and storytelling. That's
and storytelling to get out there and tell and get this work done and take those kinds of risks. They're real risk takers in ways that people don't always appreciate.
And we also talk about this a lot because we are like, I love visual art and science, and there seems to be sometimes this like push to like separate the two.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing. Like, do you ever think about that when you're making movies and like choosing to do things about science? Are you cognizant of the fact that science and art are sometimes pushed binaries?
Well, yes, I mean absolutely. But what I've found is that that audiences who don't even think of themselves as being particularly interested in science, of course they are, because when they begin to recognize the drama of it, it's everything around them, and the people who get engaged are fascinating, and so it's like I feel like that telling the stories that I like to tell, you can use that sort of human interest value to open people's minds to the work that gets done and the possibilities out there.
And there's a lot of power in that. That's why it's awesome that you do those
Thank
things.
you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess we won't keep you too much longer, but what do you think then of the Breakthrough Prize being something that celebrates like researchers?
We need to make science rock star.
And my partner Brian Grazer, who couldn't be here tonight, is upset. He got very sick, and he's missing it. But he's been here a number of years.
Okay.
And this is my first year being able, my schedule being free enough to be able to get here. And so I'm really grateful. I'm excited, and it's always a terrific night.
Yep.
Okay, awesome.
We're grateful for you
so
stopping by.
much.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to meet
Bye.
you. Oh my gosh, we just met Ron Howard.
Just shooting the SH word with Ron Howard.
That was a nice little, like, I think we're about to wrap up pretty soon. Like, if that's the end of
that was our, maybe that was our
I just, like, did not ever think I would meet Ron Howard in my life. I don't know.
Ron Howard.
I know. What did I say?
Ryan.
No, I said Ron.
Oh, I was like, that's not a
Hasty mouths, okay?
I'm kidding.
Oh, man. So,
yeah.
We're trying to figure out if someone's going to tell us about what's going on.
Oh, I guess.
Oh, my gosh, I love her. She's from...
Andy Newton.
Is that her name? I'm really bad with celebrity names, but she is from... What's it called? Westworld.
Oh, yeah, she just...
Love Westworld. Such a great show. You didn't watch Westworld, but
No,
that's
I didn't
because
watch
of me.
Westworld. No, I watched 2 episodes, and we were supposed to watch together.
But that's a
and you went
cool
home and you watched
sci-fi
them
show.
all.
No, okay, calm down. But that's I love when shows find like a sci-fi angle where you're like, there's aspects of it that could be real, that kind of talk and speak to the future of our world and what that's going to become, possibly.
Oh my God,
I just
she
wanna
looks
look at her.
amazing. Also, you can't see this.
I know,
We're going
like-
to talk fashion, okay? So I think her dress is literally like a Salvador Dali print.
Is it actually?
Do you see what I'm saying? Do you seeing those
I can't quite
geometric
see it,
objects?
but yeah, isn't this riveting live stream?
Yeah. Okay, so if you're
Very
wanting
cool.
to know, I'm going to do an impression of Andy Newton on the red carpet right now. She looks amazing. Picture flowing dress. Picture flowing dress with like sort of a space theme. She's really good. Her hair is pulled back in a way that is like
That's a skill.
unbelievable.
That's a skill to be able to walk a red carpet and just like confidently stop.
Oh my God, she's so beautiful. I think she just won the Emmy. And remember, she said, I don't believe in God, but if she did exist, I'd
she
thank
said
her.
that. Wow.
Yeah. So she's like a feminist atheist, and like in current climate of America, that's brave.
Statement.
Is anyone watching us say anything?
I'm surprised we're still on the air.
No, don't
Not
say
the
that.
air.
I haven't sworn yet, which is like the one thing I was not allowed to do, and that's a hard thing for me. I swear a lot.
Okay.
I
Well,
swear
we've
a
made
lot
it. We've
because
made
I'm
it.
passionate.
It's
I'm
been like a couple
passionate
of hours.
person. Oh, Rachel McAdams, she's from
yeah.
Toronto.
Oh yeah, Canadian. We're Canadian.
Rachel McAdams, we're from Canada. Come. Didn't work.
Oh, is that Orlando Bloom? Oh my gosh, all the big ones are coming in now.
Orlando Bloom.
Whoa.
Come talk to us.
This is just cool. This is literally just a live stream of us looking
You
at
probably would have
celebrities.
come and talked to us. We were just too scared.
Yeah,
You
I know,
looked right
because
at us
sometimes
and
also being on the red carpet, you're just like, it's awkward to walk down. And they're like, they don't know necessarily if they're supposed to stop at people.
Yeah, like, oh, Rachel McAdams looks so
Posing.
good. Okay, I'm going to do my impression of
Okay.
Rachel McAdams. She looks really good. I like her like corset thing.
Can people watch
like
that
her pants.
version?
She has a really high heels on. Wow. I want to.
How do we want to like bring this?
Oh, sorry.
to
I'm
a
just like,
close?
I'm like,
yeah, you
why
gotta
aren't the
come back.
celebrities talking to us?
to
Like, why aren't they here? Aren't they here to like make science cool?
I'm trying to figure out if there's anyone.
We'll talk to Orlando Bloom.
Yeah.
He's so handsome. I didn't know I had a thing for Orlando Bloom, but now I do. Oh, we're being told. What?
We're back. We're ready to get ready for the show.
Oh, okay, cool.
So thank you guys.
I thought he was
so
going to whisper
much.
me like Orlando Bloom really
he's
looked into
coming
your
over.
eyes and really wants to talk
No,
to
we
you.
just
about
found out. Thank you all so
happened.
much for watching the live streams with us. It was fun. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, you'll be able to go back and watch all the interviews with the laureates.
Now we're going to go eat vegetables, chicken, or fish with celebrities.
Yeah, and you can go watch the show. It's
Go
like
watch the show. Also,
Nat
go on
Geo.
our Instagrams. to
Yeah,
watch what
we'll
do.
be showing stuff behind the scenes, but enjoy the show. Enjoy all these laureates being celebrated as rock stars. And thank you for watching. We'll see you later.
Subscribe to ASAP Science. Plug.
Bye.
Peace.
Should we walk?